Chapter 61 Advance quests and become a real death god. As that kid at the heart of the squad. When Hachiken and others left, Hyuga Hazashi looked puzzled. No matter how you look at it, it is obvious that Hatake Kakashi and Uchiha Shisui should be the leaders, and at best those two children came to the front to make up the number of people. Shaking his head, Hyuga Hazashi sighed. Hopefully, all is well with them. Only when they really come to the battlefield, that kind of really oppressive atmosphere will make people cherish the original peaceful life more. Itachi has said that he hates war. But for the sake of peace, he did things against his will. That is to be a part of the battlefield. When he was a child, Itachi had seen the sight of the wars and the constant loss of life. After a few years, he once again felt that extremely depressing atmosphere. The border line, the breath of war is extremely obvious. The patrol that hurried past, the medical team carrying the wounded. From time to time you can see traces of battles in the blood-stained land of Yuhi. Kakashi and Shisui are used to it. But Bajian came to the battlefield for the first time in the true sense. The smell of blood, the strange smell. Only a beating heart can prove that he is still alive. Fight! What are you doing standing here? Voices like this continued to emerge from the heart, and the instinctive trend made the young man's hand holding the knife burst into blue veins. Two options: bypassing the mountain range and sneaking into the country of thunder. Although it is time-consuming, it will be much safer. Or, rushing directly from the weakest point of the opponent's defense line is very risky, but according to the information given by Hyuga Hazashi, the fourth-generation Raikage seems to return to the village to prepare for the negotiation with Iwagakure village, temporarily not on the battlefield, the chance of success not at all. The former convenience is the Kingdom of Thunder, and stepping out from here means that the guard ninjas of the Kingdom of Thunder will find an attack in the next second. No matter how you look at it, the first option is the most reliable. Ding! Optional burst advanced tasks are coming. Mission title: The True Grim Reaper. Mission content: bloom with killing, control instinct, let Zanpakuto taste the taste of blood, and harvest 3000 soul energy from now on. Quest reward: Reiatsu, spiritual power, and the complete fusion of the body, become a real god of death, and call Zanpakuto to officially liberate. 5% template progress, 1000 points will be cut flat. This task, the host can choose whether to accept it or not, and there is no time limit. Advanced mission. In addition to the daily knife swing task, the task that suddenly appeared. The meaning of harvesting 3000 souls is obvious. Kill people. Keep slashing people until 3000 cuts. He can choose to accept or not to accept, no time limit, no punishment. When the system that had been silent for a long time appeared, it gave Bajian an unexpected surprise. As for the reward of the task, he doesn't seem to have any reason to refuse it. Close your eyes. With the spread of spiritual pressure, all the soul fluctuations in the battlefield ahead are imprinted in your mind, and only one of the fluctuations is the strongest. There is no accident, it is undoubtedly Killer B Jinchuriki, Column Force Killer B. Withdrawing the Reiatsu, the 8 swords swept towards his system panel. Host: Yi Bajian. World: Hokage Ninja. Unlocked King of Slashing Templates. Zengi Kenpachi, Zubai. Zengmu Kenpachi Template Unlock Progress, 14.2. Unlocking Progress of Virtual White Template, 4.2. The second template reaches 20% to unlock the next character template. The next time the flat cut feature is awakened, the second template's virtual white progress reaches 5%. Flat cut points, 595, can be exchanged for template progress or shop items. Chakra volume, 180, elite Chunin level. Physical fitness, 270, extremely strong. Reaching 300 will refer to the normal opening of the 8 inner gates. Reiatsu, unknown. Active trait, Chakra Blades. The template comes with its own feature, Instinct Power. The above are all his strengths. After the daily tasks were upgraded, his attributes increased rapidly every day. The amount of chakra is slightly lower, but Bajian never relies on the amount of chakra to crush the enemy, and the amount of chakra will not determine the strength of a ninja, and the concept of the so-called level of chakra is not so certain. After all, Naruto's Genin's chakra has already crushed 99% of Jonin's. This value is for reference only. In the same way, the chakra volume of Bajian is only a part of his strength. He is a knife player, and the progress of the template is the key point that ultimately determines his strength. Putting away the panel, the teenager lifted the mask and grabbed the wine gourd and started pouring it violently. Except for the unlocking of the third template, which is 10 points higher than the percentage required to unlock the second template, there is nothing too unusual. Everything on the panel also gave Bajian a very intuitive feeling of his own strength. The improvement in physical fitness has allowed him to swing the knife as he pleases. It is not easy to control the power of the evil ghost, Kenpachi Zakagi. That is a terrifying man whose strength is so powerful that he cannot bear it. If it wasn't for the upgrade of the daily tasks, the sword could also increase the physique. I am afraid it will take a few years to fully adapt to this power. But now, his eyes were full of light, he let go of the wine gourd, and Bajian's chest heaved violently. Close to the physical quality of the open door, fully withstand the pressure brought by the full swing of the knife. However, Bajian is clear that the manifestation of physical fitness here is not really a door, just a reference value. Follow me. The fight has begun. Kiba, the razor-sharp demon, has completely opened. He chose to pierce the opponent's defense frontally. Ask for a ticket. Chapter 62 Crazy, he is a madman. What did you say? When the four-person team launched a suicide-style frontal charge, the news was also sent to Hyuga Hazashi's command room. The Hyuga family is good at reconnaissance. It was also the unique pupil technique that made them stop the invasion of Kumogakure village several times, and made Kumogakure village think about Byakugan. Therefore, the progress of Yajian and others was naturally discovered by Hyuga's patrol. At this moment, Hyuga Hazashi was stunned. What are they going to do? With the establishment of a four-person team, want to break through the defense line and reach the rear. Are you all cabbage people in Kumogakure village? Assemble and be ready to meet them and retreat. There was no time to hesitate. When he got the news, he had already decided that it wouldn't be long before they would be defeated when they realized that the war should be cruel. At that time, Kumogakure village, which was insane at that time, might attack again. The messenger ninja hurried out to prepare, and Hyuga Hazashi smiled wryly. Lord Hokage, you made a wrong bet after all. Night falls. When Hachiken looked at the stronghold of a Kumogakure village in front of him, his eyes were full of fighting intent. He had already sensed it in advance. There is only one ninja formation with less than 100 people in this store, and most of them are Genin and Chunin. As for Jonin, there are only 2 or 3 of them. Every Jonin is a precious treasure of the village, even if the third ninja war in Kumogakure village did not consume that much, it also lost a lot of Jonin. And this kind of large-scale battle, Genin and Chunin are the most numerous. But most of the time they were used as cannon fodder. Do you really want to do this? Shisui looked a little complicated. His belief is not to rely on killing to solve problems. Even in the Third Ninja World War, he rarely hurt anyone. Previous contest with Kurigakure village also broke out on demonic illusion, and when the opponent found out that it was him, he immediately retreated. But now, the purpose of the 8 swords is very clear. Wherever you go, nothing grows. First, our task is to get attention, ease the pressure on the border, and make the bigger the noise, the more successful it will be. Second, this is a battlefield. Not killing means being killed. I promised Senior Fugaku to bring Itachi back safely. Third. Slowing down, Bajian looked at Itachi next to him. You asked when you came out, how many people died in Konoha after so long? If it's just a stalemate, the casualty attack 768, if it's the people killed by the Kumogakure village from the beginning of the Third Ninja War to the present. Shaking his head, Itachi didn't say anything further. It was a terrible number. A number that no one wants to recall. That number may be staggering. Sometimes let go of the kindness in your heart, otherwise it will be cruel to your companions around you. Kakashi next to him had deep eyes, and when he heard this sentence, his awareness of this man was raised again by a notch. Unlike himself, Bajian has never really experienced war. But he realized what the cruelty of the war was, and even saw it very thoroughly. To be kind to the enemy is to be cruel to the companion. Patting Shisui's shoulder, Bajian took a deep breath and rushed forward. When night falls, it is time to kill. When several figures fell in the camp, the Kumogakure village ninja, who was slow to respond, finally recovered. Enemy attack. PFF'd. Just shouting out 2 words, his head shot up into the sky in an instant. Looking at everything below and the vision that flew higher and higher, the ninja's consciousness fell into darkness, and his life came to an end. The head. An uncommon way to kill an enemy in the ninja world. Blood splattered on his face, and the natural energy in his body came completely. The desire that prompted him to fight broke out. Before this sword, it was invincible. Swish. The dark moon Kiba smashed into the only building in the store in the dark, and the Reiatsu mixed with the chakra blade instantly blew it to smithereens. Fight. Non-stop fighting. The progress of soul harvesting mentioned by the system prompt sounded past his ears, but that sound had been ignored by Bajian. The moment he held the knife, he was completely transformed into a beast. He cut off the grand fireball flying towards him with one blade, and the figure of 8 swords disappeared in an instant. The next moment, the blade had already slammed into the chest of the ninja that spewed the grand fireball. Blood splattered all over his face, and the opponent's entire body instantly split into 2. Fear spreads. At this moment, raising the butcher's knife to fight, tasting the blood, the boy who is not tall is like a devil. A madman, he is a madman. A certain terrified ninja finally vomited out of this bloody scene. He could counteract the fear in his heart. Zanpakuto had taken his soul. The current 8 swords are not like people. Staring at the fighting back, Shisui's heart twitched violently. That's because you're not familiar with him. Itachi shook his head. Having overcome this scenario, he had already turned on the Sharingan Speedy Hand seal. Treat yourself warmly and reliably. Deal with the enemy until you die. Kaden, fire style. Great fireball jutsu. Under night. The fight continues. ... Ask for flowers. Chapter 63 Jianzhang, I just want to follow in your footsteps. The night of killing was not short-lived. But with only hundreds of people, it didn't delay the elite team for long. When the ninjas from Kumogakure village, who had heard the news, were about to come to support, the 4 of them had disappeared into the darkness. There is only blood and broken corpses in one place, silently recording the crimes that happened here. After a brief silence and grief, the ninjas of Kumogakure were furious. They swore that this account would be settled with Konoha. In the distance, when everything was passed to Hyuga-Hazashi's mind through Byakugan, he was completely shocked. That team did the unimaginable. Frontal breakthrough into the territory of the Country of Thunder. Whether it was the raid or the time to leave, it was perfect. Konoha's sharp knife. This sharp knife is the glory of the village. Obviously, he murmured and had not come out of the shock. In addition to the shock of the team breaking through, he also set off a storm in his heart. Not for anything else, but for that terrifying means of murder. Disgusting killing. It's hard to imagine what a child could do. Beheaded. Divide the body in 2. The blood of the cracked corpse seemed to make him extremely enjoy. Is he really a child? Through Byakugan, he could see the man's face. He is eager to kill. Hazashi-sama, Kumogakure village is gathering troops and seems to want to break through our defenses. At this moment, the messenger ninja next to him suddenly rushed over in a hurry. As expected, Hyuga Hazashi returned to his senses and nodded. He has seen the gathering of the other party. In fact, it would be surprising if the other party didn't respond. A blood debt can only be paid by blood. Suddenly, hundreds of ninjas were brutally murdered. It's no wonder that the group of irascible men in Kumogakure village didn't get angry. But this time, he wasn't flustered. The team had already penetrated deep behind the enemy, and all he had to do was to withstand the pressure before the other party found out about Kakashi and the others. As long as the supply line is destroyed, the pressure on the frontal battlefield will be greatly reduced. As for how much it can do, it depends on how long the team can last. Pass my order, use traps and detonators to block the attack. Hold on. ... Are you uncomfortable? On the frontal battlefield, the deranged Kumogakure village ninjas attacked. And in a dense forest behind Kumogakure village, Hachiken asked while supporting the pale Itachi. This kind of killing is still too early for Itachi. The rise of Itachi in the original novel was after the Chunin exam, and his strength began to increase rapidly. Even if he is a genius, pay attention to his age. No matter how you look at it, Itachi is still a child at the moment. Chakra and physical exhaustion left Itachi gasping for breath. Come up. Frowning, Hachiken stood in front of Itachi. Itachi. Ink. Too lazy to talk nonsense, Bajian directly lifted the opponent's body and carried it on his shoulders. At this moment, Itachi's little face, Yuhi, was like an apple. I don't know if it was due to exhaustion from the journey, or the adverse reaction caused by excessive chakra. What to do next? Kakashi's situation wasn't that great either, and he's still a little terrified to this day. When he left before, he had already heard the tick of reinforcements from Kumogakure village. A close call. They finally managed to leave. The next stronghold, cut all the way to the interior of the Country of Thunder, and rest after destroying the next area. Otherwise, the pressure on Hyuga Hazashi is too great, I'm afraid he won't be able to withstand it. Opened the map and looked at it, Bajian said beyond doubt. Are you going to fight again? However, it seems to have adapted. Yuhi's Tomo in Shisui's eyes turned. Superfluous kindness will hurt his companions. As long as he remembers this sentence, he will not continue to be confused. Just looking at this look, Bajian understands. Shisui, who galloped on the battlefield in the Third Ninja World War, is back. Come on, as soon as possible. Standing up with Itachi behind his back, the boy took a deep breath and moved on. In terms of his physical strength, being alone doesn't feel too stressful. It is estimated that Itachi has recovered by the time of the next stronghold, so there is no need to worry too much. It's just that he doesn't feel anything. But the look in Itachi's eyes when he looked at the 8 swords changed subtly. I am still too weak. Leaning on Bajian's back, Itachi slowly closed his eyes and began to rest. From beginning to end, I just want to follow in your footsteps, Jianzang. ... Lord Hazashi, the enemy ninja has broken through the 4th line of defense. The night battle continued. The war spreads at the border, the explosion of the detonating talisman and the screams of the ninjas from Kumogakure village who rush into the trap one after another. But this time, the level of madness in the Kumogakure village was completely unexpected to Hyuga Hazashi. Prepare to meet the enemy, never let them pass the border. The 4th line of defense is also the 4th trap area, that is the last guarantee. Any hesitation, Hyuga Hazashi directly ordered a full-scale attack on the enemy. Resist. The main thing is to resist this fierce attack, and there is light behind. The real battle begins. The battle of ninjutsu, the battle of taijutsu, when the chakra was exhausted, the bloody level of the slashing with a blade-stained Yuhi's sky. Blood is flowing. Both sides tense that nerve. Whoever persists to the last moment is the real winner. The companion kept falling down, but Hyuga Hazashi was still biting Kiba and insisted. I don't know how long it took. Kumogakure village, which had been attacking extremely violently, suddenly receded like a tide. A Hyuga ninja who was in charge of investigating the information ran over in shock. Hazashi-sama, Kumogakure seems to have received some news and has retreated. Retreated. The reason goes without saying. The light of the east begins to spread across the earth. That touch of warmth made them feel the beauty of life. They did it. ... Ask for a ticket. Well, the 5th update will be delivered, hey, if you add it. 1 ticket and 1 flower are fine, and it will be delivered later. Chapter 64. When the news comes back to Konoha. The land of fire, Konoha, was not affected by the frontline battle. Hokage was still full of peace and comfort. Without actually experiencing that atmosphere, one can never understand how cruel reality really is. They enjoy the peace forged with blood. Good. The calm atmosphere was suddenly broken by a high-pitched voice from the Hokage building. His hands seemed to be shaking a little. The excited 4th-generation Hokage Namikaze Minato grabbed the information that came back with both hands. Beside him, the 3rd-generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen reappeared in the office, and after hearing Minato's voice, he looked at the bloody scroll. Minato, who had always been calm and composed, shouted. But when he saw the above content clearly, the hand holding the cigarette bag could not help shaking. The Night Owl team went deep behind the enemy's back, wantonly destroyed the supply line of Kumogakure village, and killed 100 enemy ninjas according to incomplete statistics. Currently, the Kumogakure village ninjas at the border have retreated, and Hyuga Hazashi is approaching and constantly pressing. It is certain that Kumogakure's attention has been shifted to the Night Owl team in a short period of time, and the pressure on the front line has been reduced several times. Yakuba, Uchiha Itachi, Hitaki Kakashi, Uchiha Shisui. Everything is the credit of 4 people. They succeeded. Although Minato was a little puzzled by the extra Uchiha Shisui shown above, the news that came back was undoubtedly exciting. The effect of the surprise attack has been manifested. Below, as long as the Night Owl squad continues to create chaos, the pressure on Kumogakure village will increase. Comparable. Their situation can also become dangerous. There was no time to hesitate. Minato's eyes became firm. This elite team is related to the influence of the entire battle situation. In the office that day, he did not tell the other party all his plans. Not distrust, but only this first step is the most important. The stalemate needs to be broken by such a team. As long as there is a twist, he will send troops to the front line again to support. At that time, the Kumogakure village, which cannot catch the 8 swords, will become devastated under the front and back attacks. When the truce comes, it will become a matter of course. Breaking the deadlock and then negotiating with the same chips on both sides is Minato's control of the whole situation. And what he had just discussed with the 3 generations next to him was also a matter of reinforcements. This time, he wants to completely free Konoha from the abyss of war. They are good. Sarutobi Hiruzen's face also showed a hint of relief. No matter how many times he chooses to let go of Danzo in secret, but no matter what, Sarutobi Hiruzen's heart is in Konoha. The war at the border affected the situation of the entire village, and he was happy from the bottom of his heart when such a turning point occurred. Anbu with a knife, and some changes occurred. I'm getting old. Konoha, in the end, has to rely on young people to guard. Emotion, Sarutobi sighed again, but as if thinking of something, he raised his head to look at the water. The reinforcement plan you mentioned earlier has worked. But Minato, you know the consumption of Konoha in the Third Ninja War. We don't have many ninjas on the front lines anymore. It's not that Sarutobi Hiruzen is lying, or trying to hide some living power. Yes, Konoha has really gotten to this point. No. With a firm gaze, Minato stood up and looked out the office window. Konoha, there is no shortage of people who give their lives for the village. And the 3 generations ignored the people who were patrolling Konoha all the time. They are a family with extremely strong fighting power. What are you talking about? Sarutobi stood up instantly. The Uchiha family. That's right, the Uchiha family. Minato had a strange look on his face. Although the Uchiha clan also suffered losses in the Third Ninja War, the number of casualties in the crucial battle against the village of Kurigakure was very small. Although I don't know why the Uchiha clan was dragged back from the battlefield when they were about to defeat the enemy, it is certain that their fighting power is very strong and there are redundant ninjas. Uchiha clan who returned from the battlefield did not reveal much about the war. Because, the secret of Guanping to Uchiha. Mangekyo blooming on the battlefield. Fugaku's eyes. It was also the appearance of Wan Wahian that turned the tide of the battle. Of Konoha knew about this. But what Minato said later made Sarutobi Hiruzen feel a little ashamed. Yes. After the turn of the war, the village decided to withdraw the Uchiha clan from the battlefield. The reason given is that Konoha needs Uchiha's patrol to protect stability. The real reason for this, Sarutobi, is very clear. It's time to avoid the Uchihas taking too much credit, Sarutobi. This is Danzo's original words. Minato, the words of the Uchiha clan. The words that suddenly appeared in my mind made the 3 generations open their mouths to say something. But before he could finish, Minato shook his head to interrupt. 3 generations of adults, I know what you are going to say. But judging from Itachi and Shisui's relationship, I don't think the Uchiha family is really an evil family. After a pause, little son had a warm smile on his face. Unlike you, I trust them. I believe them. This sentence has been the dream of the Uchiha family for so many years. Come on. The door to the office was pushed open, and Yamanaka Inoichi was half knelt on the ground. Hokage order. Engrave the merits of the Night Owl Squad on the Konoha bulletin board, and the Uchiha Guard will go to the front line to support the border from now on. Yes, 4 generations of adults. Just as he stood up and was about to leave, a discordant voice suddenly came from behind Yamanaka Inoichi. The old man disagrees. Sarutobi Hiruzen gave a wry smile and had a headache when that familiar figure, Good Money, appeared with 2 other old buddies. Root Chief, Shimura Danzo. 2 Hokage consultants, Kaharu Udatane and Homura Mitokado. We don't agree either. Homura Mitokado's eyes were indifferent. The Uchiha family is heading to the border, what about the guards of Konoha? That is, if the enemy bypasses the defense line and attacks at this time, who will guard the village? The 3 of them again. But this time, I wasn't defenseless. Faced with the question of the 2 advisors, Minato looked decisive. If an enemy does appear, unless I die, no one can do any damage to Konoha. Any more questions? First change. Inside. It was a bit sudden on the shelves. It was originally decided to be tomorrow night, so there are relatively few manuscripts, but the small works. Guaranteed to codewords all night tonight. Gone. Chapter 65. Finally there are 2 decent opponents. Owl, your perception is too outrageous. In the land of thunder, in a very hidden cave. Kakashi looked at Hachiken calmly nibbling on the rabbit's leg with a look of surprise. At first, he wrecked the first stronghold and left safely. He thought it was just a coincidence. But now he is sure. Whenever he was about to encounter an enemy, the man in front of him would always give accurate information. Quantity, strength. Even the trajectory of progress. Relying on this unpredictable perception, they have successfully destroyed more than 7 teams transporting supplies. No matter how well a person hides, the breath of the soul cannot be changed. After tearing the rabbit's leg in half and throwing it to Itachi next to him, Bajian said calmly. This is the world of ninjas. All energy comes from chakra and natural energy. And Bajian is the god of death. Although it is not the real god of death in the world of the god of death, he is extremely sensitive to the fluctuation of the soul. In this world, he is the only one. However, in the Hokage world, it is not that there is no ninjutsu associated with the soul. The ghoul seal is one of them. Can even summon the god of death in the world of Hokage. Both are gods of death, Sadai and him walk together. Picking up the wine gourd and taking a sip, Bajian grinned. He really wants to see 427 to see what the death god of the Hokage world is. Are there abilities related to the soul? Kakashi smiled wryly and shook his head. He really couldn't understand it. What is your face, Yuhi? His eyes suddenly swept to Itachi, who was a little overwhelmed with the rabbit's leg beside him, and Bajian asked suspiciously, "Eat, we have to fight in a while." "Can't I eat it?" Itachi nodded, looking at the rabbit legs with complicated eyes. Just now, he clearly saw Jianzhang bite the rabbit's leg. Bang! At the moment of war, unless the combat power is crushing, it is not one-sided that will be tested. Before Konoha was actively preparing for the battle, the Uchiha clan led the remaining Anbu ninjas and some small clans. When heading to the battlefield, in the shadow office of Kumogakure village, the sound of the table shattering could be heard far away. "Bye, what did you do?" Looking at Killer Bee, who was hanging around in front of him, Raikage's rough face was full of anger. He handed over the war on the border of the Fire Country to his younger brother, and returned to the village to deal with the negotiations of the Iwagakure village negotiating team. How many days? The line of defense was torn apart. Was also infiltrated by Konoha's people into the land of thunder and wanted to destroy. At this moment, even the negotiation with Onoki turned sour. The negotiating team in the land of the land seems to be interested in observing the final outcome of the war, and the originally negotiated conditions have also changed. Became a bubble. Ninja world, 5 ninja villages, 5 kingdoms. Not unique. There is a connection between them, and the change of the situation will also affect the wind direction of the entire ninja world. Brother, it's not me. Killer Bee shrugged helplessly. Who would have expected Konoha to form an elite team to launch a surprise attack under such circumstances? They didn't just switch to Hokage, as we know Konoha in the past, it's him that shrinks the defense at the moment. What they should do, why would they take the initiative to attack? Totally unexpected. And for that elite team, they have absolutely no information. Don't make excuses, bye. After the anger, the 4th generation needs to calm down, and now is not the time to blame others. According to the known information, the identities of the 2 people in the raid team can be determined. Hatake Kakashi, the son of Konoha White Fang, is said to own Sharingan. Hatake Kakashi is nothing, but the other is Uchiha Shisui. It is more difficult to deal with the technique and the instant body technique. Walking to buy, the 4th generation Raikage had murderous intent in his eyes. I already know the purpose of their entry into Kumogakure village, to destroy our supplies. Reducing the pressure on the frontal battlefield. In this way, a new batch of escort squads will set off in a while, and you mix in. Infiltrate the delivery team and kill a surprise. Don't underestimate Raikage. Under the guidance of 3 generations of Need Shadows since childhood, he likes to use force to solve problems. He also has the EPUB, you're the perfect Jinchuriki column force, and the 8 tails can help you against demonic illusion. So this time, it's all up to you. Patting Bai's shoulder, Shui Ying went back to his seat. That old guy Onoki is shrewd. Well, if I go with you, he will definitely think that Kumogakure has fallen into a disadvantage, and the lion speaks loudly during the negotiation. But don't worry, I have arranged a helper for you. With the 2 of you, what kind of elite team is not a problem at all, as long as the nails are pulled out, the wood. You will have no trump cards, and our counterattack will make those people understand what a real war is. Bye, do you understand? His eyes were full of hope, and Xie Ying looked at his younger brother. He rambled here for a long time. The purpose is to wake up this righteous brother. When will Killer Bee be able to be on his own, then he will really relax a lot. No. Unfortunately, Reikage didn't get the answer he wanted after all, and Killer Bee's strange character led him to. I don't have much interest in this. Therefore, he answered one word very honestly, and he didn't know how to write the word euphemism. Go away. Go away. Remember to use the transformation technique, don't be seen. In the office, the roaring voice spread far and wide. The country of thunder. At the end of a quiet road, several figures fell on the ground. Just after landing, the knife-wielding boy standing in the middle suddenly frowned and stretched out his hand. What's the matter, Jianzhang? The teenager next to him grabbed the detonating talisman and was about to bury it. Shaking his head, Bajian's eyes were solemn. Human Jinchuriki column power, often referred to as the ultimate fighting power of Shinobi Village. In the world of Hokage, Naruto and Gaara's tragic childhood seems to be telling everyone that as human beings, how painful is power. But there is one ninja village that is different. Their people, Jinchuriki column, will not be discriminated against, but will be worshipped. That is the village of Kumogakure. 10 people in total. 6 Chunin, 2 Jonin, and 2 people Jinchuriki column force. People Jinchuriki column force. At this moment, Itachi, Kakashi and Shisui are all serious. Are very clear about what the 3 words, Jinchuriki column force, stand for. And besides the human Jinchuriki column force, there are 2 Jonin and 6 Chunin. This squad configuration can already be called the elite of the elite. Tough enemy. But Bajian seems to have seen some turning point, an absolute turning point to end the war ahead of schedule. Apart from that, he stroked his beating heart, and Bajian's eyes were fiery. Finally there are 2 decent opponents. This is a lunatic. Kakashi's mouth twitched and he let out a long sigh. He really can't understand the thinking of a madman. The second update, there are fewer manuscripts, and the small author code words all night. Chapter 66 I'm Not Alone. From the village of Kumogakure to the border of the Fire Nation, a team is advancing step by step. Not fast, but stable. Jonin in front carefully observed everything around this very familiar road, but if there was any difference, he would stop and throw a shuriken to test it. Another Jonin was in charge of the brake, and would hide under a tree every few minutes and stop advancing until he thought it was safe to quickly catch up with the team in front. The remaining Chunin, on the 2 wings, guard the team's progress. This is an extremely experienced and elite squad, responsible for delivering supplies for war. Shuriken, kunai, soldier pills, and detonator talismans. I didn't expect that the helper that eldest brother said was you. Suddenly, in the middle, a young man with a mustache glanced at the ninja next to him and said. Otherwise, Uchiha Shisui's demonic illusion, no one can deal with it but us. The female ninja shook her long pale golden hair slightly, but made a slightly immature voice that was different from her mature appearance. Demonic Illusion by Uchiha Shisui. Hatake Kakashi of this period has not yet completely made the name of copy ninja. But Shisui is different. He has already been active in the Third Ninja War, and his nickname of Shisui is not a vain name. Tailed beasts are afraid of demonic illusion. People Jinchuriki column force, also afraid of demonic illusion. Both are fulfilled in Kyubi, 9 tails. Uchiha Madara controls Kyubi, 9 tails, to open Susanoo, and the battle with Senju Hashirama is recorded in the annals of history, forming the Valley of the End. In the original book, the Kyubi, 9 tails, rebellion Obito controlled Kyubi, 9 tails, attacked Konoha, which can also confirm this. But when the human Jinchuriki column force evolves into the perfect human Jinchuriki column force, it will have great immunity to demonic illusion. That is not the immune function of the human Jinchuriki column force, but after communicating with the tailed beast can help disrupt the chakra in the human Jinchuriki column force, and achieve the effect of instant release. This, only the true perfection Jinchuriki column force knows. Example, in the battle between Sasuke and Killer Bee, Sasuke also used demonic illusion, but it did not achieve the desired effect. Now, this matter belongs to the secret of Kumogakure village. I join forces, and Konoha will die. The rap in an extremely embarrassing voice made the ninja sigh, and she lost her moment as a human Jinchuriki column forced to talk to each other about the skills of using the power of the tail beast. Come on. The team suddenly stopped. Kumogakure village Jonin in the front instantly holds 10 shuriken in both hands and prepares to attack. But when everyone's eyes looked over and saw the person standing in front of them, they were stunned. A not-so-tall figure stood arrogantly in the middle of the road. Small in size, but dressed up, it is completely different from ordinary ninjas. A large knife disproportionate to his height hit his shoulders, and he wore a simple and clear black robe of exhausted martial arts uniform. The mask on the face covers the face below, and the wine gourd around the waist is even more abrupt. This person seems to have been waiting for a long time. Who are you? Looking vigilantly at the figure in front of him, the captain of the team led by Jonin from Kumogakure village did not relax because of his not-so-tall body. According to investigating the death location of the attacked supply team, they have already mastered a lot of information. First, from the footsteps of the scene, there are a total of 4 enemies who have sneaked into the country of need this time. Second, the dead companions are all with fatal stab wounds. Just these 2 points, the identity of the person in front of him seems to be ready. It's just that he wasn't sure enough. Because the other party is too young. If such people can start killing people in the country of need, what is the point of fighting this war? 2 people Jinchuriki column force, disguised in such a team, does Reikage mean to completely remove the hidden dangers of the Land of Thunder? However, with such a configuration, it looks down on us. Raising the knife in his hand, the infinite fighting spirit instantly ignited. At this moment, it is clear that a young man is standing here and the whole team is like being stared at by a beast. Dangerous feeling is coming. Has your identity been revealed? Yugito and Killer Bee stood up, looking solemn. It's not because seeing the 8 swords brought them pressure. But at the same time, the tailed beast in their bodies gave a warning. Watch out for the knife in his hand. 8-tailed, a powerful tailed beast whose strength is second only to Kyubi, 9 tails. Kyubi, 9 tails, can sense danger, as can 8 tails and 2 tails. And from the tone of the other party's words and the fighting spirit, they have already come up with the answers they want. This boy is a member of the Konoha elite team. However, even if the tail beast warned them, Killer Bee and Yugito still feel a little weird. There is only one person on the other side, and it is not ruled out that Joe is hiding the possibility of other team members. But in any case, it always seems a little too much for a person to block the way. Together. The transformation technique was lifted in an instant. Yugito in a tight suit shook his pale golden ponytail and nodded to Killer Bee. Reikage's order is to kill. In real combat, a battle-hardened ninja will never underestimate an enemy because of his appearance. For those who despise the enemy are dead. Swish. Swish. In an instant, the 2 core combat powers rushed directly to the 8 swords. In the process of running, Killer Bee has already pulled out all the 7 or 8 knives he carried with him. Baron Heron chopping knife. Using various parts of the body and physical techniques, the 10 knives are used flexibly. A powerful sword technique that only Killer Bee can master. And Yugito was more cautious. The whole body had begun to turn into a half-tailed beast, and when she arrived in front of Bajian, a light blue cat had already exposed its sharp claws. Come up with all your strength. Shaking his neck, Bajian took a deep breath and saw the trajectory of Killer Bee's advance and swung a knife in advance. The Dark Moon Kiba moved fast with the raging terrifying Reiatsu, and slammed into Killer Bee. What's this thing? Killer Bee was visibly stunned, not understanding. Don't fight hard. The 8 tails in the body respond instantly, and it can clearly perceive the heart-pounding power above. If you hit it, you will die. The action is not over yet. Black Moon Kiba, who slashed Killer Bee, swung again before hitting Zanpakuto with 8 swords, slashing at the claws of the running kitten. Clang! The sound of the symphony of golden iron is particularly harsh. Yugito flew upside down from the half-tailed beast transformation in just an instant. It's fast, but you seem to have forgotten that I'm not alone. Black Moon Kiba passed by. Killer Bee just stood still, but saw Bajian pointing his sword at his back. Look back. Numerous physical clones have completely wrapped their companions behind them. Next moment. Blood splattered. Shisui's instant body. When the ultimate is approaching, all illusory clones will be entities. Lightning flashes in the sky. Like a flash of light that can cut lightning, a huge fireball explodes in situ. Just an instant, all 6 Chunin were killed. The tacit understanding of the Night Owl team is shocking. Third more. The little author is ing all night, but it is recommended that the readers do not stay up late, rest early, and tomorrow. Just look at it again. Chapter 67 The King of Flat Chopping, the second characteristic of chopping people. Bajian carelessly underestimates the enemy. One person faces 2 people. Jinchuiki column force. Not really. Before setting off, he already had a full understanding of his own strength. At that time, he already had nearly 15% of the Zengi Kenpachi template, and the virtual white template that was about to unlock the second-level cutting feature for himself. 2 templates, beast-like physical fitness. Coupled with the chakra blade, this is part of his own strength. The power of evil spirits is fully erupted, even if it is the power of the perfect person. Jinchuriki column. Only Killer Bee is the only real perfect person. Jinchuriki column. Although Niyugito also has the potential to have the power of a perfect person, Jinchuriki column, but she is still young and has not achieved the perfect fusion in the later stage, so her strength is still a little worse after all. Just looking at the power she just showed when she was transformed into a half-tailed beast, Bajian analyzed that her state would not last long. Judging from her appearance, she should have just graduated from ninja school a few years ago. Therefore, the real threat is only one of the 740 tails. And those trash fish, handed over to Shisui and Kakashi and Itachi. After they dealt with those people, they cooperated with themselves to attack the 8 tails in an all-round way, and the fat profit of the battle also came. However, it is also clear where the 8 swords are at the risk of fighting. That is, before Shisui and Kakashi solve the trash fish, he has to face the 2 people Jinchuriki column force alone, and if it fails, the situation will be turned upside down in an instant. Can you withstand the pressure? Under the mask, the pupils of the boy gradually contracted, and his instinctive fighting spirit drove him to take the initiative to cut his soul. Yugito, are you all right? The woods that had been slashed by the Black Moon Kiba, Killer Bee said to Yugito, who got up from the ground and recovered from the half-tailed beast state. Black Moon Kiba has passed, it has become a bare field. That terrifying slash made him no longer dare to be careless. Humans in the ninja world are physically strong, but a single shuriken is deadly. If this kind of slash is really hit, it will indeed die. It's not a big problem. Standing up with difficulty, Yugito bit Kiba and nodded. Careless. But she was already careful enough. What I didn't expect at all was that the sharp claws of the 2 tails that I had transformed into a half-tailed beast were so vulnerable in front of the opponent's knife. He glanced at his left hand. There, the nails she specially left have been trimmed by the brushes. Just help me attack. Killer Bee nodded and took a step forward, the 7 knives showing a cold light. He also used a knife. In the village of Kumogakure, he has not yet served anyone in swordsmanship. Whoosh. Ding. The figure disappeared, and the next moment, Killer Bee completely showed the real killing skills of the Killer Bee. Weapons are from top to bottom, and the countless knives that are not rotated at an angle will inadvertently slash the opponent's throat. He is a veritable Killer Bee. Yugito next to him sighed and seemed a little lost. During a duel between masters, if she attacks rashly, it will only bring a burden to her companions. Looking at the teenager fighting Killer Bee, Yugito still has an unreal illusion in his heart. How old is he? Under the mask, there was still a somewhat immature voice, and she could hear it clearly. The main thing is. Lord Rakage said yes, the most important thing to watch out for this trip is the famous Shisui. Why is the script different? To now, the boy in front of him has become the strongest fighting force of the Konoha elite team. This unexpected change made it difficult for her to accept. At the same time, there was an explosion. The girl turned around and saw a scene that made her angry. The field, the 6 Chunins had already lost their lives under the tacit cooperation of the Yishao squad, and the 2 Jonins had also fallen into a hard battle. Just for a moment, they have fallen into an absolute disadvantage. Instant Shisui, not only the instant body technique is superb. The understanding and use of demonic illusion is the most terrifying. Just one look can make the opponent's body stalemate, and then grab the opponent and attack the second before they fall into the illusion. Even if Jonin is experienced, it's inevitable that he will get hurt if he disarms demonic illusion very quickly. Not to mention there is also a Hitaki Kakashi holding a lightning bolt. Go help them first. Yugito bites Kiba and rushes into the rear. In her cognition only she can fight against Shisui. In fact, she didn't know that this feeling was the biggest demonic illusion among her. Demonic illusion in the ninja world, no one can compare with the Uchiha family. Especially the Uchiha people who turned on Mangekyo Sharingan. Itachi's Tsukuyomi, Shisui's Koto Amatsukami, that is the most vivid art that demonstrates demonic illusion. Once Konoha's ancient family, the Kurama family, was short-lived, and the 5 senses were really strong, but it was not as convenient as the release of a glance. Ding ding ding. The Killer Bee's attack continued. 8 swords hit the sword, and the elegant figure responded with ordinary flat cuts. The tricks are bells and whistles, and after all, it is not as happy as a knife and a landslide. 7,974. 7,975. 7,976. ... And every time it successfully resists the attack of the Killer Bee, Bajian will spit out a number 0. However, Killer Bee doesn't understand what this number means. Ding ding. Swing the knife and continue. 7,989. 7,990. When the number soared to 7,990, Bajian's eyes shone with excitement. This is the number of swings today. Yes. Even if it is a high-intensity mission to go deep behind the enemy, he still does not forget his daily mission. However, when wielding a knife and killing people are combined, there is no such thing as only. There are 10 times left for the boring feeling of swinging the knife. Up Zanpakuto high, the boy's body suddenly began to tremble. Speaking of which, this is the first time I have been fighting passively. This kind of feeling is a little uncomfortable. Roar. Accompanied by a roar that didn't resemble a human, Bajian's original action of holding a knife in one hand became a bullshit. Changed. You know what? A knife like a knife, held and swung with both hands, will be stronger than holding and swinging with one hand. Swish. Up Zanpakuto high, the next moment following Zanpakuto's instinctive swing, a golden light is emitted fiercely. Slash to Killer Bee. Flat cut special effects from the Zaraki Kenpachi template. But just waving once was not enough to satisfy the swollen fighting spirit inside. The second knife is coming. This time, the Dark Moon Kiba follows. 8 swords profound truth. 10 consecutive cuts. Whoosh whoosh. The body kept dancing, when 5 golden swords and 5 dark moons 3.7 Kiba rushed towards Kira. When compared, the latter was already stunned. Bye. Don't be stunned, let me come. Roar. With a roar, the huge body of the 8 tails instantly wrapped himself. The 10 sword beams started their unbridled bombardment. But Bajian did not enjoy the idea of such a picture. In his ear, the familiar system prompt sound has come. Ding! Congratulations to the host, The daily task, never stop, swinging the knife 8,000 times. Congratulations to the host, the progress of all templates has increased by 0.2%. Ding! Congratulations to the host, the first king of flat cutting template, the unlocking progress of Kenpachi Zakagi has reached 100%. 15. Ding! Congratulations to the host, the second king of flat cutting template, the unlocking progress of Virtual White has reached 5%. Ding! The progress of the Virtual White template is unlocked by 5% to activate the extraction times of the flat cut feature. Is it? Draw now. Fourth more. Fingers are a bit hard, stay up late. Chapter 68 / the tailed beast bomb with a knife and capture the two tails alive. The second flat cutting feature of the King of Flat Cutting has finally arrived. 8 Swords took a deep breath, too late to appreciate the crazy twitching 8 Tails who was smashed by 10 consecutive slashes in front of him. His attention was all on the flat cutting feature. Slowly nodded and spit out 2 words. Extract. The flat cut feature is the most intuitive reflection of the improvement of the power of the 8 Swords, in addition to the King of Flat Cut template. His first feature, the Chakra Blade, looks tasteless, but the actual effect is extremely obvious. So far, he has been able to fight ninjutsu with a knife, which is enough to prove how practical the effect of the Chakra Blade is, not to mention that when the chakra volume of the 8 Swords continues to increase, this effect will become more obvious. It is no exaggeration to say that as long as you give him time, he will be Jinten particle style in the future, and the effect can be imagined. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the second feature of the King of Flat Slashing, the Soul Eater Blade. Soul Eater. Bajian's eyes lit up when he heard the name, and he looked over quickly. Soul Eater Blade. The Death God's knife takes away not only blood, but in addition to harvesting souls, O4 can even drive the dead souls under the knife to inflict heavy damage on the enemy. Special effect. When fighting the enemy, each physical attack of the knife will weaken the power of the opponent's soul, thereby increasing the spiritual pressure of the opponent. Each successful hit will leave the soul of the soul under the knife on the opponent's soul to absorb the power of the soul. The attack does not cause effective damage, and the dead soul under the knife will wrap around the opponent, causing various negative effects. This feature is a rare feature with extremely high growth. The effect of soul harvesting is increased by the increase in the strength of its own spiritual pressure, and the effect of dead souls under the knife is increased according to the increase of the number of dead souls killed by the host. The third feature of King of Slashing will be activated again when the third template unlocks 5%. Please continue to work hard to become the real King of Flat Cutting. Soul Eater. A rare trait with strong growth potential. But whether it is soul harvesting or the dead soul under the knife, it is too strong. Soul harvesting, absorbing the power of the soul from the opponent. The dead soul under the knife is easy to understand. The more people you kill, the stronger he will be. What if it is human Jinchuiki column force? What about the tail beast? With murderous intent spreading in his eyes, Bajian walked towards the twitching Baoei step by step. At this moment, he has completely transformed into a tailed beast, with 8 tails tightly protecting his body, and Yin Yuhi's blood is flowing to the ground. 10 consecutive cuts. A move that's not a move. Because these 10 attacks, without any exception, are flat cuts, but the speed of the swing is several times faster. In addition, 10 consecutive high-intensity swings will also greatly consume the physical strength of the 8 swords. But the effect looks good. Raising the knife, he walked towards the curled-up 8 tails step by step. But when he was about to approach, a blue figure rushed over instantly. The second half-tailed beast turned on. Yugito is suffering great pain. Killer Bee was about to be attacked, and she had no choice but to give up the 2 Jonin who were crushed by Shisui and Kakashi behind her. Under the half-tailed beast transformation, in front of the mouth of the blue cat she transformed into, a dark sphere was slowly forming. Mini-tailed beast bomb. Unlike the real tailed beast bomb, she is still a bit difficult to control at the moment. Boom. Like a missile launch, the tailed beast smashed into Yi Bajian instantly. I like girls who play ball, and I like to play ball, but this thing is over. Because your ball will be hot. After all, I'm not old enough to play ball. The incomplete tailed beast bomb released in the form of a half-tailed beast can even slash away Biwajuzo, who has a beheading sword in the original book. Bajian doesn't think he can't. Decapitation broadsword is very fragile, it will be blown off by the tailed beast bomb and then eat the blood of its master. But his knife will not. Swish. The knife light flashed, and the chakra sphere based on the two attributes of yin and yang was instantly divided into two. And the separated sphere didn't know whether it was intentional or unintentional by the 8 swords, and half of it hit the 8 tails next to it. Boom. Boom. Completely shocked Yugito, who was transformed into a half-tailed beast. Tailed beast bomb, it can be hacked. This knife has completely refreshed her worldview. Be honest, Kitty. The explosion next to him did not cause the teenager's psychological fluctuations, and he had already pinched Yugito's neck in a flash. At this moment, as if being targeted by a real evil spirit, countless deceased souls roared in their ears. Yugito, who couldn't bear the reaction of the forced tail beast transformation, completely fainted. Fainted. Rolling the girl's eyelids in surprise, Bajian shook his head. After all, Yugito at this time was just a flower bud waiting to be released, and did not grow into the heroine of Kumogakure village. Almost meant it should. It's Killer Bee. His eyes, he hit Yugito and walked towards the still curled 8-tailed body. But the 8 swords just approached, and the huge body of the 8 tails disappeared without a trace. On the ground, only a broken octopus tail remained. The usual way to escape. The octopus tail was cut into 2 pieces with one knife, and Bajian sighed. After all, he still underestimated the fighting power of the octopus. He really won this battle. But this victory has preconditions. First, Killer Bee played against himself for the first time and didn't know anything about him. Second, if the opponent starts tailed beast bombing completely, he will never win so easily. Of course, the final result Bajian does not think will change. It's not clear if Killer Bee used his full strength, but he didn't use his full strength. It's no use even the 8 swords of Zubai's kind of slashing the moon and Kiba. 073 in the distance, the members of the Night Owl team were already waiting for him there. The battle is over. Shisui and Kakashi, the copy ninja, and the harassment of Itachi from time to time, even the 2 battle-hardened Jonin are no match, and they have already fallen in a pool of blood. Is this the 2-tailed Jinchuiki column force? Itachi came over and looked a little puzzled at the girl who was hit by the 8 swords. Person Jinchuriki column force, the second living person Jinchuriki column force besides Uzumaki Kushina. Owl, what are you going to do? Kakashi's chest heaved up and down, and he walked over to Hachikan and asked. Back to Konoha. The war is over. Yugito, Bajian smiled slightly. Although the 2 Jinchuriki column did not work together, 1 2-tail alone is enough. He grabbed Yugito, there was no need for this war to go on. The village of Kumogakure understands how much the power of a perfect person Jinchuiki column is. The loss of Erway, in addition to being a great blow to the battle in Kumogakure village, also had an impact on morale. Even if the war does not end, the presence of Yugito will give Namikaze Minato enough confidence to negotiate. Go home. 5th more. Can't stop, wake up during the day and continue to erupt. Thank you readers for your automatic subscription. Chapter 69 Guy spins the heroes, they're back. To be honest, I really didn't expect that it would be you who came this time. Hyuga Hazashi felt a little bit when he saw the mighty reinforcements in front of him. The Uchiha family. Unexpectedly, the reinforcements turned out to be them. The same as the Konoha pupils, the Uchiha family has always been a special case of the village. Although the fighting ability is good, but since Uchiha Madara left, it has not been completely believed. Whether it is the 2nd generation Hokage Senju Tobirama, or the 3rd generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, they are all wary of the Uchiha tribe. This, Konoha, anyone with an idea can see it. It is also the fundamental reason why the Uchiha family is a little autistic, and no big family is willing to make friends with them. They all understand the reason why the fire at the city gate affects Chiyu. The current Hokage seems intent on changing this situation. Go to the battlefield, we are all ninjas of Konoha. Fugaku shook his head. He didn't know if Minato's presence could really change Konoha's relationship with Uchiha, but he saw the least trust from Hokage. This is a good start. So here he is, as a Konoha ninja. Maybe Konoha has a disgusting darkness. But whenever the village is in a desperate situation, someone will always stand up. Compared with combat power and strength, this spirit of daring to sacrifice is the key factor for Konoha to become the first ninja village. Yes, we are all Konoha ninjas. Out, at this moment, the hands of the Hyuga branch clan head and the Uchiha clan head are held together. This kind of scene is rare. It is difficult to let go of the grudges between the two competing clans. A letter is not just two ordinary words, it also requires the joint efforts of both parties. Minato's plan Hyuga Hazashi already knows. There is no doubt that the Night Owl team that penetrated deep behind the enemy has contributed greatly. Uchiha clan on the border, he can finally breathe a sigh of relief. Patriarch Hazashi, do you have any news about the Night Owl squad? After a short meeting, the two came to the combat command room. With a little worry in Fugaku's eyes, he asked what he wanted to ask for a long time. The Night Owl squad. Hyuga Hazashi sighed, they are all heroes of Konoha. Above, straight to the point where the Kumogakure village ninjas in the front lost their combat power supply route 6 times. According to the known intelligence, these days they destroyed the Kumogakure village at least. In a few days, I'm afraid those guys won't be able to eat the ration pills. In addition to this, they even attacked the guard posts in the Land of Thunder that Kumogakure village placed in the territory of the Land of Thunder, leaving Kumogakure village so exhausted that it has no energy to focus on the frontal battle. A worthy hero, those children. With admiration on his face, Hyuga Hazashi is not stingy with his praise. A team that completely changed the battle situation on the frontier. They are heroes. Do you know where they are in the Land of Thunder now? The team's credit is obvious to all, but Fugaku is not so important for those things. His son, a 6-year-old son. Right in the squad. That was Itachi's own choice. Before leaving, he had asked Itachi if he really had the determination to go deep behind the enemy. If he didn't have that courage, he wouldn't hesitate to stop his son's behavior. But Itachi answered firmly, making him dismiss the idea. Believing in his own children is the only thing he can do now as a father. Sorry, I'm afraid no one knows where they are. They are still safe. That's right, but that's a good thing, because the village of Kumogakure is also looking for them, and there is no information about him. Hyuga Hazashi shook his head after glancing at the map. They do a good job of hiding their whereabouts. Hazashi-sama, Fugaku-sama. While the two were talking, a messenger ninja broke into the command room. Judging from the excited look on his face, it seemed that something big had happened. They're back. Swish. In an instant, 2 figures rushed out of the command room. Entrance to Konoha camp. The traces of the war can still be seen everywhere, but the feeling of oppression that had just arrived at the border had disappeared. Instead, the hopeful gazes of the ninjas. The pattern has completely changed. When the 4 figures appeared in the camp, the eyes of countless ninjas gathered. Looking at the still dry blood on their bodies, for these 4 people, all they have left is admiration. The only thing that was a little unexpected was that from time to time there would be a few angry cat meows from the sack that the person in the middle was holding. It always feels a little unreal. Shisui was stubborn, looking at everything in front of him and smirked. When he raised the butcher's knife and brought Shisui's spear to Kumogakure village, his heart was refusal. But when he came back, the kind of eyes around him made him extremely enjoy. different from the time at the root, silently contributing to the village. Now, he truly feels the joy of guarding the land under his feet. Itachi was about to say something, but the figure running fast in the distance made Itachi suddenly stunned. That is. Father. I am back. Hyuga Hazashi looked excited, looked at the four figures, and then bowed deeply in front of everyone. They deserve it. When the Night Owl team left, he did not expect that these children could really accomplish such a difficult task, but they told everyone that they had done it, and they had done it well, and they had done it nearly perfectly. What are you doing? Patting Itachi next to him, Bajian said with a curious expression. Shouldn't you be excited when you see your father? Encouraged, Itachi nodded and stood up, kneeling in front of Fugaku under Hyuga Hazashi's stunned gaze. Father. Father. This is Li Jiaohao, Fugaku Patriarch's son, Uchiha Itachi. Mouth wide open, Hyuga Hazashi stood in awe. It takes a lot of courage to send my son to such a dangerous place. Well done. Itachi up from the ground, Uchiha Fugaku, who has always been strict, didn't make much praise, but the relief in his eyes and the rough hands that wrapped his palms made him feel the care in his father's heart. Meow. Angry meows brought a few people back to their senses. This is a look. Hyuga Hazashi looked suspiciously at the sack sound on Hachiken's shoulders. Caught a cat, which is also the reason for coming back early. Lifted the sack and grinned. Go in and talk, Uncle Fugaku. I'm afraid you'll have to go all the way for nothing this time. Because they caught the two-tailed Jinchuriki column force. Sixth more. I got up a little late. Code wording. Chapter 70 Desperate Maiden, Submissive Cat. Advanced Quest True Death. Soul Harvest Completion Progress, 468 3/1000. Returning to the main camp, after briefly talking with Hyuga Hazashi and Uchiha Fugaku about the situation, Bajian lay in the lounge and glanced at his advanced quest. He has not been on the battlefield for a long time, but it is still difficult to kill 3,000 people so quickly. After all, in the Land of Thunder, there are many restrictions on the teammates next to them and the EPUB combinations that may be dispatched at any time. But with such progress, Bajian is already very satisfied. There is no time limit for this mission, so there is no rush. With Killer Bee gave Bajian an intuitive understanding of his own strength. In this ninja world, no one can effectively resist the means by which he can attack the soul. Two characteristics have been activated. This unexpected slash will work wonders. But it's still a long way from the real thing. He doesn't feel like he's invincible just because he beat Killer Bee. Sitting up from the bed, Bajian tilted his head and looked at the girl kneeling on the ground beside him. Her name is Niyugito, and her nickname is Kitty Cat. It was also the biggest gain for Bajian to come to the Land of Thunder this time. Compared with the constant destruction of supply lines in the Thunderland 320 to attract attention, the weight of the two-tailed Jinchuriki column force is not known to be much higher. Otherwise, get a cat. This idea also seems good. Watch your eyes, kitty. Off the hard bed, Hachiken walked over to Yugito and pinched his chin. Delicate facial features, standard melon seed face. And a special fragrance that only girls can have. It's just that the eyes of the other party at the moment are the kind of diabolical hatred and absolute desire to resist but not dare. This is a real world. Under the cover of blood is often unbearable cruelty. Female ninjas, once in the hands of the enemy, the results are not so good. Staring at Hachiken's face angrily, Yugito trembled all over. She dared not resist. Can't commit suicide. Because the devil in front of him said it. As long as her actions aroused Haken's dissatisfaction, he would one day kill the village of Kumogakure, cut off everyone's heads with his own hands, and let her see that scene with his own eyes. Either suicide or rebellion. Those are behaviors that cause dissatisfaction with the other party. Was already afraid of being beaten, and it told Yugito that it was better to do as the other side said, otherwise AEAC, and her body would die too. is real death. Erway was completely frightened, and there was telepathy between the tailed beasts. Before Yahweh escaped, Erway could clearly feel the weakness of the other side. From the weakness of the source, if you want to recover, don't even think about it for 3 or 5 years. Therefore, even the leader Jinchuriki Column did not dare to resist the boy in front of him. Demon that can slice through the tailed beast bomb with one knife. Kumogakure village, he said, and it will be done. As a Kumogakure village ninja, she believes in the power of yin-yang, and she does not believe that this young man can defeat Lei. But the formidable combat effectiveness of the opponent at this age has already demonstrated his potential. Give him time and he will do it. Bar. The so-called, she can only kneel and sit here submissively like a real kitten, with the other side pinching her chin. I'm sleepy. Letting go of Yugito's chin, the boy rested his head on Yugito's slender legs as if he was in his own home in Konoha village, as if he had found the comfortable feeling in Anko's arms. After a while, a faint snoring sound came slowly. Did he really sleep? Instant, a murderous look flashed in Yugito's eyes, and light blue sharp claws slowly approached the opponent's face. At the moment when he really wanted to do it, Yugito didn't have the courage to continue. She stared helplessly at the head of the bed. The boy's knife was emitting a faint cold light beside him, but Yugito could see clearly that the knife was clearly farther away from him. Is he really asleep? Weakly put down her hand, the girl's tears slowly fell. The village of Kumogakure is surrounded by clouds and mists from China and Japan, and sometimes thunder falls from the sky. People in the village have become accustomed to this phenomenon. As usual, I would stop to listen to the shock of the thunder and lightning. But today, they don't have that interest. Lord Killer Bee is back from a serious injury. Ni Yugito is alive and dead. This news made their hearts extremely heavy. Even the negotiations between Kumogakure and Iwagakure have ended prematurely. When Onoki got the news, he left without saying hello. This attitude needs no explanation. Kumogakure Hospital. Vague need for electricity flashed away from the rough wreckage. On the hospital bed, the weak Killer Bee was still asleep. 2 men, Jinchuriki Column, were dispatched with force, but the result was that the entire army was almost wiped out. This news is enough to shake the village of Kumogakure. Reikage had no idea that it would end up like this. The person lying on the hospital bed in front of him is his righteous brother, an indispensable part of the EPUB group. And Yugito, who is still alive and dead. This blow is too big. Holding her head tightly, I can't wait to rush to the front line to start a decisive battle with Konoha. But he can't do that. In addition to the news back from the border that Konoha had added reinforcements again, there was also Onoki leaving. Attitude when opening. If a full-scale attack, Iwagakure village will never look silly. Pull one hair and move the whole body. By then, I am afraid that the third ninja war will continue. Ah! A faint gasp came, and Reikage rushed to the bedside. Bye, how do you feel? Reikage looked solemn, eager to know the news about Yugito. But again, he was worried about his adopted brother's body. The doctor has already said that the injury is not serious than the body, but the extremely weak appearance. Because I don't know where it came from. No faults can be seen, and no potential hidden dangers can be detected. But it is extremely weak. Brother, I'm so stupid. Killer Bee let out a weak cry. Virtual. Is it a kidney problem? Reikage looked at Killer Bee's waist. It's not this fictitious. Take off the sunglasses. Killer Bee's deep dark circles seem to be telling something. What the hell is going on? Deep breath, Reikage grabbed Killer Bee's hand. There's something wrong with his knife. Don't care about rap anymore, Killer Bee said laboriously. Who, Uchiha Shisui, didn't he rely on demonic illusion and telekinesis? Reikage asked again. No, brother. From start to finish, Uchiha Shisui was not the most threatening of them all. It's that kid. Killer Bee sighed. What kind of kid, what kind of knife? What are the moves? Please clarify. Reikage's eyes widened. The opponent's main combat power turned out to be a kid. It's that little brat. There's only one move from start to finish. Which trick? Flat cut. First. Code wording. _ Chapter 71 Blood at the head of Konoha village. The way back was smooth. Bajian didn't have much emotion. As always, he kept waving his sword forward. On the other hand, Itachi had more smiles on his face, and walked slowly behind Bajian. Kakashi is still the same, coming out of a fight, slouching again. However, it is completely different from the original book, where the confused squatting in the corner of Yondeme's house, looking at the warm appearance of the teacher and the master, but his heart is completely different. A little more sunshine, less lonely. Obito and Rin are a thing of the past, he'd rather keep that grief in his heart. The current Minato class gives him another warm feeling. However, there were a few more people in the team returning to the village. Uchiha Fugaku, who hurried to the battlefield and came back in a hurry, was a little embarrassed and unnecessary. Since the chips in hand are heavy enough, the so-called pressure at the border is given, so the Uchiha family is on the front line, it is meaningless. But being able to see the growth of his son is the greatest satisfaction of being a father. Makoto is about to give birth, and he doesn't want to be on the battlefield too long. In addition to him, Hyuga Hazashi, who has stepped down as the commander, accompanied him. He hadn't seen his son Hyuga Neji for a long time, and he was very homesick. Things at the border to others, Kumogakure will not attack in a short time, unless they completely abandon her way. That is unrealistic, so the war must come to an end. Yugito followed Bajian like a corpse, and with every step she took, the further away she was from her home. Shisui, who was silent along the way. The confusion reappeared in him. Closer he got to Konoha, the more silent he became. It's easy to understand why. When this young man came out, he was tasked with snatching weapons from his partner. Mission failure, and for ninjas, mission failure is a shame. Even he hadn't returned to the village to report the situation immediately, but chose to follow the Yishao team to the front. This is the first time that this kind of disobedience has been done. Danzo, the leader of the route, and how to explain that he didn't attack Yi Bajian. He didn't know at all, and the more he thought about it, the more confused he would become, the more he could not see the future path. When faced with the questioning of Lord Danzo, how should he answer? For the sake of the village, do you really want to take action against your companions? You and Itachi always think too much. Voice reached Shisui's ear, and the sword of the 8 swords had hit his shoulder again, saying what he had repeated a long time ago. Shisui smiled wryly, he couldn't help thinking about this kind of thing. Shaking his head, Bajian was too lazy to say too much. For Shisui, he has already figured out how to deal with it. All the way. When approaching Konoha, there was a hint of surprise in Hachiken's eyes. The familiar figure in front was waiting with the villagers. Namikaze Minato, Konoha's 4th generation Hokage. Having already received the news, he stood at the entrance of the village just like welcoming his own relatives. It's hard work, welcome home. It's impossible to hug 4 kids at the same time with open arms, but he does it anyway. As Hokage, it should be aloof, but it makes people feel more intimate. Welcome home. Suddenly Bajian had an illusion, and the emotion that he had never felt in his heart suddenly burst out. It seemed that no one had ever said such a thing to him except Anko. Is Konoha my home? I guess so. Maybe he never really hated Konoha, just a few stubborn garbage in Konoha village. Are you affectionate? Bajian raised his brows a little funny. Perhaps in the original book, Naruto needs this sentence the most. This Hokage is a little different. One of the girls in the team glanced at Minato, wondering why. Will you personally meet the ninjas who are returning to the village on a mission? This kind of situation seems to have never been seen in Kumogakure village. 8 Swords of the Night. But whenever he had mixed feelings about Konoha in his heart, there was always someone who was discordant. It seems a little impatient, or the ambition is slowly growing. Several figures also appeared at the entrance of the village. Root leader Shimura Danzo. There are also 2 Hokage advisors, Homura Mitokado and Kaharu Udatane. Well as the helpless third-generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. It's hard to imagine when they started here. Perhaps it is only at such times that they will be so concerned. Minato, who was standing next to him, was a little embarrassed. The appearance of these people was completely unexpected to him. As a teacher, I came out to greet the returning disciples and gave them due treatment and warmth. Why do you want to join in the fun? 8 Swords of the Night. Shimura Danzo frowned, and the tone couldn't help but rise a little bit higher. Looking at this young man, his eyes were full of gloom. In theory this is their first official meeting. If you have a fart, let it go. Clang. Zanpakuto was inserted into the ground, and there was a scratching sound that made the scalp numb. The boy leaned on the knife and turned his head, but when you put it, please pay attention to the direction and don't smoke me. Puff. In an instant, the tense atmosphere seemed to be broken, and even the kitten behind Bajian couldn't help laughing. It's an unusual way of saying hello. From this way, it can be seen that the village is far from being as harmonious as it seems. Yebajian, pay attention to your words. Kaharu Udatane stretched out his hand sharply and said angrily, do you think that a meager contribution to the border will be able to wash away your troubles in Anbu? At best, it is now a crime. Swish. A ray of cold light flashed. Yin Yuhi's blood spilled into the sky, and the hand that Kaharu Udatane stretched out just now fell to the ground. I said, please keep your mouth shut and don't aim at me when you're relenting. Playing Zanpakuto, the boy's face is full of gentleness, and there is no sense of tension after beating people. He went straight to it. There was no hesitation in the slightest, nor did he care about the identity of the other party. Hokage consultant. What it is. When I was young, I was a companion of the second-generation Hokage guards, and my arm was cut off. The first time, Homura Mitokado wanted to ask questions, and before the word arrogance was finished, he gave the ex-boy a look in his eyes. At this moment, he panicked. He was sure that if this sentence was finished, he would die. 8 Swords. Minato gave a wry smile. Everything happened so fast just now that he didn't even react before it happened. Why do I have a sad feeling in my heart? As expected of my disciple. Just do it without hesitation. This temper is still the taste of the year. 8 More. Continue to code word in where G. Chapter 72. I will only give this face once. The conflict that suddenly erupted was unexpected. The companions around Bajian looked a little nervous. Fugaku's expression was complicated. Originally, he should be happy when he saw this scene. Uchiha's point of view, Baijing sees someone confronting the high-level head-on, which is a good thing to see. But after so many things, his thinking has changed. It seems that he doesn't want to see this young man have an accident. That's Itachi's friend. True friend. Shisui stood there dumbfounded, and shot at the Hokage consultant. He never thought of such a thing. Sarutobi, did you see that? Due to the severe pain, Kaharu Udatane had fallen into a coma, and Homura Mitokado next to him was pale, and he didn't dare to be arrogant to him, and put his eyes on Sarutobi Hiruzen next to him, hoping that he would say something. What are you asking me to say? Sarutobi Hiruzen gave a wry smile. If you just look at that, 843 inches of the result, Yi Bajian has indeed done too much. But everything in the world has a reason. The ninja who worked hard outside the village was blocked at the entrance of the village just after returning to the village, saying that they were guilty. Wouldn't it be uncomfortable if it was me? What's more, this young man never hides his anger. Bajian, you are indeed overdoing it. Although there is something wrong with Kaharu, she is Konoha's Hokage advisor. As a Konoha ninja, you must remain humble towards the seniors who have made great contributions to Konoha. Sometimes this kind of scene really needs a good person to appear, to tell your mistakes from the perspective of the elders, and let you understand your identity. Now this good man is Sarutobi. But before he could finish speaking, the boy suddenly stretched out his hand to stop him. I won't say anything else. I'm not at peace when she mentioned that I was guilty and meritorious. You just said, she did a lot for Konoha. Bajian's eyes widened, as if he had heard something appalling, which was even more outrageous than the Konoha textbook stating that the 3 generations of Hokage were the strongest Hokage in Konoha. Is there a problem? Sarutobi Hiruzen asked as he lit a cigarette in confusion. Konoha Hokage consultant, who has worked hard for the village for so many years, is it wrong to say so? Forget it, you probably won't understand even if you say it. Seeing Sarutobi's natural appearance, Heiken suddenly lost the thought of wanting to kill the opponent. Just like you can never wake up a person who is pretending to be asleep, dogs may not understand human words. A person like her is not even comparable to any ninja who died on the border. Take it slow, 3 generations of Hokage. Shaking his head, Bajian didn't want to stand here any longer. The thought that Konoha could be home at first disappeared in an instant. There is Anko, Itachi, and a few friends of your own. Konoha never was. Picking up the knife, Bajian was about to enter the village, but the moment he took a step, a masked ninja appeared behind Danzo, blocking Bajian's path at the same time. It was such a good show that Niyugito in the squad even wanted to slap a few times to add to the fun. She doesn't know what other people think, but she is very comfortable now. This seemingly peaceful village has so many discordant places in the interior. Hokage greets ninjas who have returned from a trip, which is very cordial. But another faction seems to have a lot of opinions against the teenagers who take credit. She enjoyed this scene very much. Stop, Yi Bajian. Hand over our way, that belongs to the village. But in the next second, the words that the annoying old man said suddenly made Yugito creep up. Is that why they are here? Go away. A thunderous roar made the atmosphere of the entire Konoha village instantly turn cold. The knife raised high has been aimed at Shimura Danzo. Maybe Bajian thought of it at the beginning, the purpose of these people appearing here. Yes. The news that he had caught her way had already been transmitted back to the village from the front. Some people value the power of Jinchuriki column force and want to take it for themselves, which is normal. QB Ninetales Jinchuriki column force can't get hold of it, so they shift their target to her way, which is in line with Danzo's character. But he missed one point. Mine is mine. I want to give it to you, it's yours. I don't give it, you can't grab it. Big knife was swung out instantly, and the gate of Konoha village was directly cut in half by the sharp knife. Like you sent your root ninja to hunt me down and want my knife. My cat is mine and no one can move it. Turning his head, Hachiken looked at Namikaze Minato who was waiting for him at first. Mr. Minato, you came to meet me at the entrance of the village to give me face. And these few of them are still alive, and I gave you my son. I will only give this face once. Soon as the bang sounded, Danzo was shocked to find that the 2 guards behind him exploded into 2 groups in an instant. Blood fog. When? Next time, it's your head 0 inches. Walking by Danzo's side, the sound of the 8 swords seems to come from hell. Face, he will only give it once. He had no interest in seeing what Minato would do next. I haven't seen Anko for a long time, he just wants to lie down on his sister's lap and have a good sleep. All kinds of Konoha, what to do with him? Left Konoha, going to the front on a mission is for Minato alone. He helped with this, and it was good enough. When the Night Owl team entered Konoha, the atmosphere at the entrance of the village finally calmed down, but the traces of the blood mist explosion were still there, and the arm of Kaharu Yutane on the ground looked hideous. Terrible. Minato, you saw that, I want an explanation. The face of the third generation is not good. Front of 2 Hokages is no small mistake. It must be taken seriously. To Sarutobi's surprise, the 4 generations of Hokage who respected him so much in the past did not seem to hear him. Danzo step by step. Until now, he had not realized the seriousness of the problem. I never thought about why the boy could face 2 Jinchuriki column forces, and even capture one alive. Come back smoothly. I have never thought about why Yi Bajian has the confidence to kill people in such a grand manner. You made a move on him, didn't you? The shoulders were shaking, which meant that the old days were tolerated, turning everything by the side of the eye as if. 3.5 Invisible Minato has been furious to the extreme. This person in front of him knows that he will recast a person who does not have much sense of belonging to Konoha. How difficult is it to bond? He knew that he had said before Bajian left that he would never be late as a teacher this time. At this moment, Minato finally understood. Why does Shisui appear in Night Owl Squad? Everything this old man does is for the sake of the village. That sword, and the 2-tailed Jinchuriki column force, can only be used to its greatest effect in the hands of the village. Danzo said blankly, as if he was talking about something trivial. For the village. Minato smiled. Well, I'm announcing something in the name of the 4th generation Hokage. For the sake of the village, the roots will be dissolved from now on. 9th more. Code wording. Chapter 73 Bajian, help me take charge of Anbu. Who gave you the power? Namikaze Minato, pay attention to the way you speak. Minato. Muraguchi, Danzo's angry roar, Homura Mitokado's questioning, and the shock of the 3 generations all entered Minato's mind. I'm Konoha's 4th generation Hokage. Only for this. Namikaze Minato, who is so earnest, is alien to those who have always regarded him as a puppet. As for the 3rd generation, I respect that you took office as Hokage, but you have already retired. And what Bajian said just now, have you thought about it carefully? Any dead ninja on the front line deserves more credit than all of you, even I can't compare to them. Hokage cape behind his back, Minato's figure disappeared in front of these people. Outside the village, there are only a few so-called high-rises, and the arms on the ground tell the story of what happened here. Thank you. Yugito behind Bajian finally spit out 2 words. As a prisoner, it seemed even more shameful to say such words, but she said it anyway. Thank me for what? Bajian replied strangely, approaching the house, all the murderous aura and evil in him disappeared. Bajian never shows those things in front of his relatives. Oh, if you give me to a good man. That old man, at first glance, it is not. Yugito shook her head, but she didn't say anything else. But no matter which way you look at it, the results will not be very good. Captives are miserable. It seems that with this little devil, things will be much better. Be treated as a kitten, be treated as a kitten. No less meat. The girl's eyes were full of helplessness, which was better than being locked in a small dark room. Bajian didn't say anything about it. He never thought of giving her away to Danzo. Open the door of Mitarashi's house. Enko and Yuhi, these 2 best friends seemed to be saying something. After seeing the 8 swords, Enko's surprise flashed for a moment, and then he rushed over excitedly, 8 swords in his arms. This time the mission is different from before. She also understands the risk factor. The joy of this reunion instantly dispels the fears that preceded it. Big again. Her Enko's Enko. Lying on the reclining chair in the yard of Mitarashi's house, enjoying the warm sunshine, and my sister next to me. The chattering movement. Bajian suddenly felt that this was actually the life he wanted. He tilted his head, and the kitten beside him waved his fan with one hand and the other with a displeased expression. Move the reclining chair and give him a coolie with a human-powered electric fan and a shaker. Tired. But again, compared to a real captive, being a maid doesn't seem so shameful. matter? Oh, my stupid brother. Suddenly a girl appeared in the family, and she was a very iconic girl. This excites Anko. My brother has grown up. Create. Knowing to bring girls home. Road. The Mitarashi clan is coming. Well, his brother never showed anyone with that surname. In his words, it was ugly. What happened to Mitarashi? Anko went straight to Byakugan. My stupid sister, what are you going to say? Lazily opening his eyes, Bajian asked. To be honest, whenever Anko calls him stupid brother, he always thinks of Itachi's face. I beg you, that's not your line. Is she the girlfriend you were looking for? Sighed, Anko quietly pointed to the kitten beside him and asked. Please, can you whisper in a low voice? Also, how do you know that I'm this brat's girlfriend? Yugito, who is about the same age as Anko, sneered disdainfully and shook the chair more and more. The old lady can't find a man. Need a little kid to be your boyfriend. No, she doesn't deserve it either. Bajian gasped, maid and girlfriend are two concepts. One is to vent without any scruples, and the other is to coax after venting. That's not the same. And the spoils of war are spoils of war, the superiors have to look at the performance. I'd better go to the little black house to be researched. Suddenly I don't want to be angry anymore. Yugito wanted to cry without tears. What does this little brat say? No, she doesn't deserve to be his girlfriend. The old lady hasn't disliked your lack of awakening. I've asked, Yuhi, she's just a maid, she's not a threat to you, you still have a chance. What's even more embarrassing is that after the woman got the news, she turned to the caller next to her. Kurenai Yuhi's woman shouted. Dare you come to make sure of this? Yugito flipped Byakugan. But the most embarrassing thing is not her. But Kurenai Yuhi. Heaven and earth conscience, she just wanted to ask what the girl next to her was doing. Knew that Anko went directly to confirm the identity of his rival. You are really my best friend. The atmosphere in the yard was still warm. Lying on the reclining chair, Bajian looked at the scene in front of him with a gentle smile. If Yugao was there, this scene would have been more intimate. Unfortunately, she is in school, in Yugao's words, she must surpass herself. The little girl doesn't understand that when inspiration wants to surpass a person, she is destined to live there for the rest of her life. Under personal influence. She can't run away. At this moment, a figure appeared in the courtyard. Yuhi colored after a little anger on his face. Here comes Minato. Just after seeing the scene in front of him, he suddenly felt that he had come at the wrong time. Not even used. To be honest, he rushed over to 103 in such a hurry, because he was afraid that Bajian would pack up his things and take them with him. With Anko, become missing nin. If you get to that point, there's really no going back. This kind of thing, the young man in front of him must do it. Fortunately, the atmosphere in the yard was completely opposite to what he imagined. Teenager lying on deck chair enjoying warm time with smile on face and anger at village entrance. On the contrary. Sure enough, a person like Bajian will show the warmest character only when he treats his own people. But it's hard to do it in 3 words by myself. There are not many in Konoha who can enter his heart. Minato-sensei, is something wrong? Leaning on the reclining chair calmly, Bajian replied that Anko and Yuhi didn't say anything. After seeing Hokage coming, they walked into the room. These 2 girls are very sensible. I know the 2 have something to discuss. But Yugito is a little embarrassed. It's not going to go, after all, her identity is just a captive of Konoha. You keep on fanning. Bajian glanced at her and said. Call line. Yugito breathed a sigh of relief and continued to fan. Little son didn't take it seriously, just watched Bajian's eyes gradually become serious. Bajian, I need you. Help me run Anbu. The 10th is delivered. Thank you readers for your support. Chapter 74 confidentially, become a fire in his heart. Help me run Anbu. As Hokage, I said shocking words to a child at this moment. Such a scene. Yugito next to him was obviously taken aback. This boy is really good. And this kind of hostile character is also suitable for entering Anbu. But how old is he? A child, how to become the person in charge of Anbu? But the Hokage in front of him said it with great certainty. The sincerity in his eyes does not seem to be fake. Namikaze Minato, Konoha's yellow flash. Really different. After a few seconds of silence, Bajian seemed a little surprised. The position of Minister Anbu, which had been vacant since Hitaki Tsukumo's suicide, was held by Deputy Shinku Yuhi, Kurenai Yuhi's father. And now, Minato actually wanted to give this position to Bajian. The meaning is already clear. He wants to tie the 8 swords to Konoha completely. Becoming an Anbu minister means entering Konoha's center of power. Anbu is the assassination unit directly under Hokage, and it can be seen that he will be Minato's real right-hand man. Don't be in a hurry to refuse. Seeing that Bajian did not speak, Minato gave a wry smile. Perhaps, what happened at the entrance of the village today made the original sense of belonging of Bajian disappear. But Minato believes that, given him time, he can still steer the child on the right path. The roots of Danzo, I have ordered the dissolution. Hiding in the Konoha Sun from now on, the only department guarding the village is Anbu. I will give you absolute trust and leave Anbu to you completely. In this regard, Minato has done its best. And his sincerity made Bajian admirable. Little Sun and Danzo just faced each other. This is a plot that never appeared in the original. 8 swords touched his chin and looked at Minato in surprise. As Hokage, I analyze the situation in the village all the time. Turning a bad system for the better, as I've always done before. But Bajian, when you really want to change a village, you find that you are so powerless. Minato sighed, his face full of bitterness. And become the 4th generation Hokage. From the beginning full of blood to the last helplessness, who knows what he experienced in the end. Konoha is not doing well. There is no one under him that he can completely rely on and trust. Speaking, there is only one Kakashi, but at that time Kakashi was still obsessed with Rin and Obito. And the appearance of the 8 swords rekindled Minato's heart with fire. Minato has been tougher lately. When you have nothing to do, you may just go with the flow, thinking about not making mistakes, and silently guarding the village. Please. But now there's an opportunity. The opportunity for change lies in this young man. Hesitant to fight back when threatened. Yi Jinkuo criticized everything, not even at all. He is different from himself, he dares to fight, and dare to face wood. Especially Muraguchi's words, let Minato completely refresh the understanding of the 8 swords. The ninjas who died on the battlefield deserve more credit than the villagers who rely on the old and sell the old. It seems that this trip to the Land of Thunder has also brought a lot of growth to the young man in front of him. His eyes were full of relief, and Minato put his hand on Bajian's shoulder, when you didn't grow up. Come, protect Konoha, and don't let this poor system lead the village to a point of no return. Then when you grow up and have the ability to change everything, give this village to you. I dream of relying on the younger generation, and then I die with peace of mind. I used to think so. But now, I've changed my mind. A smile as warm as sunlight appeared on Minato's face. Little Sun, as its name suggests. Since you want to change, why don't you just start? It's okay to entrust your beliefs to the younger generation, but if you don't try hard yourself, as a Hokage, what's the point of existence? Use our hands to make the village a better place. After working hard, we will tell our dreams to the younger generation. In this way, it's the best decision. Does he understand? 8 Swords was completely stunned. In the Hokage world, there will always be some people who will entrust their dreams and beliefs to the younger generation, and let the latter generation to complete this. For example, Senju Hashirama, he said this. And Minato. Before he died, he had high hopes for his son, and he was sure that his child could change everything. Facts have proved that Naruto with the protagonist Halo did it, but it was still incomplete, even with. Senju Hashirama did the same. When Naruto dies, the war will probably break out, waiting for the next Asura to reincarnate. From Bajian's point of view, this kind of person who puts all their dreams on posterity is irresponsible. It looks like a parent who wants their son to become a dragon and a daughter to become a phoenix. But they seem to have forgotten the principle of not doing to others what they do not want to do to them. You haven't done it, so why ask others to do it? What can be confirmed is. Today, the little son is ready, and speaks his heart without reservation. He wants to be a real Hokage. Change the system, change Konoha, and protect the things that Hokage, the ancestor, was desperately protecting. Heart-to-heart, open-hearted conversation with Bajian. It's always a little embarrassing to talk unilaterally. Until now, Bajian has not answered a word. He was just there watching Minato. Does it make him a little hard to understand? Minato smiled wryly. In a trance, he remembered that the disciple in front of him was still a child. Is it too early to look at him with the eyes of an adult? That is, you say so much, can he understand? Yugito next to him also flipped through Byakugan. With all the hype that you say, isn't it playing the piano to the cow in the end? It's quite touching, but unfortunately, it's a pity, I found the wrong object. Just a little kid after all. The atmosphere was a little awkward. Wangs. Minato didn't know what to say further. What to say, what not to say. He has already told Bajian. Including what he wants to do, he also tells Bajian in disguise that he is the fire in his heart. And he is the shadow of fire. Danzo won't dissolve Anbu. After a long time, the calm Eight Swords finally said a word. Zanpakuto, which was inserted in the yard, flew over and fell into his hand. Ms. Minato wants to change. But still not cruel enough. There is only one way to completely eliminate the threat of roots. Chang-Chi. Stand up, dragging the knife. Eight Swords showed a smile. That is, hack them all to death. Please, I wish all readers a happy Children's Day and forever young. PSS, readers, it's the beginning of the month, ask for a monthly pass. Chapter 75 Minato's decision, the beginning of change. When the Eight Swords said to solve the root problem. Little son has already got the answer he wanted. That is a kind of recognition for what I said for a long time just now. It is also a signal of willingness to help him in this situation. This means that the young man in front of him has agreed. Was a burst of excitement at first, but before Minato could speak further, he found that the young man was about to cut through the roots with a knife. At this moment, he flipped Byakugan in fright. Some people say this is a joke, some people don't. Yi Bajian is the latter. He said that if he wanted to cut off the roots, he would do so without hesitation. But right now, it's not an opportunity. Even if you want to remove the root, remove that potential threat, not now. And the means of clearing, there is no need to be so bloody and violent. The people at the root are not all those cold-blooded animals, and there are many companions who can be saved. That Mokudan wood-style junior armor is an example. Just experience the turmoil of the Third Ninja War, and the occasional friction with the Land of Thunder at the border. Right now, no matter the timing or the situation, this approach of the Eight Swords cannot be adopted. Hasty civil unrest will cause panic in the village, and even lose the belief in losing resistance. The most crucial point, about the evidence that the roots have endangered Konoha over the years, his master, is not enough. Shimura Danzo has been in charge of the root for many years. He has founded this organization after 3 generations. His heritage is not something that Minato can compete with. Mention Sarutobi Hiruzen who grew up playing with Shimura Danzo. Maybe Sarutobi didn't get involved in the inside of the root, but his extra kindness will definitely jump out to plead for Danzo. This is for sure. Just like when Orochimaru defected and killed so many Anbu members in front of Sarutobi Hiruzen, the third Hokage, he can still let Orochimaru go. But at that moment, the 3 generations of adults forgot the fallen Anbu ninja, and behind them is a family. Maybe from that day on, Konoha will have more children who lost their fathers, and more widows who have lost their husbands. Kindness, letting go, and intolerance contributed to this series of tragedies. He does work hard for Konoha, but the means are always almost meaningless. So, since you want to do it, you have to pinch the opponent to death in one breath. Find all the evidence, let the 3 generations understand what the root has done all these years, and let him have no reason to plead for Danzo. That was his plan. Minato is Hokage, and he has to think in Hokage's perspective. So, this matter can't be rushed, just leave it to me, and I will definitely give you a satisfactory result in the end. Finally standing in front of the 8 swords, Minato gave his advice. Oh, listen to you. Backed Zanpakuto, Hachiken shrugged indifferently, but is it really appropriate for you to say such things as Hokage? Give me satisfactory results, I am not Hokage. He is too lazy to think about that kind of thing, it is the last word if he has the skill to wield a knife and practice. From the beginning to the end, Bajian only firmly believes that when the strength reaches a certain level, everything will come naturally. Has an idea for changing the village and governing Konoha. 8 Swords is looking forward to this. Even if you watch the original anime, there are 10 generations of Hokage, from Senju Hashirama to Naruto, except for the 2nd generation Hokage Senju Tobirama's extremely strong means of governing Konoha. Other Hokages do not have that talent, including Naruto. But if it was Minato, what would Konoha look like in his hands? Give him a hand. Bai Jing, this is his teacher. Minato's point of view, this is not easy for himself and Danzo's torn teacher. That's right, Bajian. If thinking of something, Minato suddenly lowered his voice and glanced at Yugito. Jinchuriki column force, 2 tails, what do you think should be arranged? Today, in addition to talking to Bajian, Yugito's existence is also extremely important. To be honest, Minato didn't think AEFJ to come to it, his disciple went out and even captured the 2-tailed Jinchuriki column force alive. Surprising surprise. But looking back, it seems that how to deal with it is also a problem. There is no doubt that Konoha will have the upper hand in negotiating with the Kumogakure village using the Jinchuriki column force as a bargaining chip. But looking at Bajian's attitude towards Erwei, it seems that he doesn't intend to let her go. So how to use this chip, Minato would like to ask the 8 Swords. I thought you had it all figured out. Bajian glanced at Minato in surprise. To be honest, I'm really not good at politics. But I can give you some advice. 4 words, mainly to drag. Kumogakure village lost more than just Erwei, the teacher should not know that Yahweh was also seriously injured. They are no longer in a position to fight a decisive battle. Raising his brows, Bajian smiled. 8 tails are also seriously injured. Minato's eyes widened in shock when he heard this. Not only did the 2nd tail go away, but the 8 tails were also seriously injured. What kind of battle did your disciple fight in the country of need? And isn't his strength improving a bit too fast? Minato thought it was a coincidence that 8 Swords captured Erwei, but he didn't expect it to be the result of the hard steel on the front. Unexpected surprise. Instant, Minato had countless battle scenes in his head. 8 Swords, who worked so hard for Konoha, but came to the village entrance, had no choice but to shoot mercilessly. All the doubts in my heart have been resolved, and the only thing left is trust. So if I were Hokage, I would just perfunctory Kumogakure village who wanted to negotiate. The longer it was delayed, the better for Konoha. As long as there is no decisive battle, Konoha is resting every day, using 2 tails to contain the opponent. They dare not fight, this is the most correct way. Because once Konoha returns the second tail to the Kumogakure village, they will attack again, and the so-called peace talks will become an illusion. Only interests are the only way to solve the problem. Kumogakure village no longer has the capital to clamor. How to arrange it, how to delay it is up to you. In short, if Erway does not give it, they will have nothing to do if they hang each other. Anyway, the last paragraph. The most important thing, my cat, I haven't had enough. Who is your cat? Yugito, who pricked up his ears and listened clearly, cursed in his heart. This bastard made the Kumogakure village's calculations very clearly. It's hard to imagine why he has so many strange and ancient things in his head at his age. Understood. Minato is smart and already knows what to do next from Hachikan's words. Okay, that's it for today. You just came back from a mission, have a good rest. When you have time, go and tell Shisui that the root has been dissolved and you don't need to go back. When you're well rested, go to Anbu to find Shinku Yuhi, and I'll greet him and let him teach you how Anbu works. The second. Code wording, ask for a monthly pass. Chapter 76. The youngest Anbu minister in history. He really thought he was Hokage. In a residential area in the center of Konoha, Danzo looked at the Sarutobi-san in front of him with a dignified expression. Just sent Kaharu Udatane to the hospital. Her arm can be reattached if she is lucky, but it's obviously useless. But Kaharu Udatane's injury has nothing to do with him. At this moment, his heart was full of anger. He was originally Hokage. Sarutobi shook his head, with a little relief on his face. From Konoha Hospital, he thought a lot along the way. Like that boy, like Minato. And there are roots that shouldn't exist at all. Contradictions have finally come to the fore. Danzo's supposed puppet Hokage also stepped up to pressure him for the first time as Hokage. I'm getting old after all. Another long sigh, Sarutobi looked at his old buddy. Time seems to go back to the time when we negotiated with Kumogakure village. Tobarama teacher asked who left the broken. It was also that time, he stood up without hesitation and became the Hokage of Konoha. If the situation at the time was a little different, would this Hokage's position be his old buddy? He is a Hokage, decades have passed. Really tired. The development of Konoha is left to the younger generation. Sarutobi, you've changed. Frowning, this time, the other party Zipping didn't want to stand on his side. I haven't changed, it's you who have changed. To be honest, I didn't expect you to attack Yi Bajian at all. Sarutobi lit his pouch and took a deep breath. He didn't know what the old guy was doing in the dark, he just didn't know much. Has it changed? I guess so. After hearing this sentence, Danzo had no idea of continuing to talk, stood up and walked out. Danzo, now Minato is Hokage, he's not me. When he was about to leave, Sarutobi's meaningful words made him stop. He didn't say anything after that. Sarutobi is Hokage who can turn a blind eye to what Danzo does. Now, Minato is Hokage. He's reminding Danzo not to continue. Best, follow Minato's arrangement to dissolve the roots. We're all getting old, Danzo. No, you are getting old. And Namikaze Minato this Hokage, when not long. Danzo looked back suddenly to Sarutobi, but the gleam in his eyes was well hidden. Go and tell Minato that the roots will dissolve. Brother is about to give birth. Uchiha clan land, in the patriarch's yard. Rarely, Fugaku did not go to deal with the affairs of the clan, but sat in the courtyard with his wife and children. Enjoy the warm sunshine inside. Itachi is still so convinced that it is the younger brother. Makoto's face was glowing with a motherly radiance, and his eyes were soft with his big belly. It must be my brother. Itachi smiled and stroked Makoto's stomach with a small hand. Uchiha Fugaku is sitting next to him, now he is a little less serious. After returning from the battlefield, he felt the importance of home again. Spend more time with my wife and children. It has been confirmed by the hospital that the due date is next month. My brother is about to give birth. Itachi was a little excited in his heart. The birth of a new life allowed him to recover from the cruelty on the battlefield. This is his brother. I'm going to practice, father and mother. After enjoying the warmth, Itachi did not forget to improve himself. You don't have to work so hard, after all, you just came back from the battlefield. Seeing Itachi's thin face, Makoto felt a little distressed. No, mother. Jian-sang said that without absolute strength, you can't protect the warmth you want. Shaking his head, Itachi packed his backpack and walked out of the yard. He's grown up and has his own mind. All we can do is trust him. Fugaku seemed a little emotional. Yi Bajian, he has completely changed Itachi and became the most respected person by his son. Route, disbanded. Dusk approaches, at Konoha's number 10 training ground. 4 figures are together, enjoying the experience of training. The comfort brought by the kind of body pouring after. When Shisui heard the news from Bajian's mouth, the staring boss couldn't believe that the route was disbanded. Why? Well, so you are now one of the members of the Anbu Night Owl squad. Patted Shisui's shoulder, the 8 generals smiled slightly, and the route was dissolved. That's just an illusion. Even if Uchiha exterminates the clan in the original book, the 3rd generation is completely angry and makes Danzo dissolve the root, and the other party only. It's just hiding the roots in a deeper, darker place. But taking it doesn't matter. Starting today, you won't have to worry about questioning from Danzo again. Because you are not his, but mine. But mine. Shisui's scalp tingled in shock when Bajian said a gulp of erguotu. What do you mean? It seems that there is still some uncertainty, Shisui asked with difficulty. The identity of the man in front of you, in addition to being a disciple of the 4th generation of Hokage, is also about Minister Anbu On. Regarding this point, Kakashi, as an Anbu member, has already received the news. Although he has not yet gone to Anbu to take office, it is already a sure thing. Still young. But his credit and identity are enough to shut up those who have opinions. And now Anbu, there is no high prestige enough to be a minister. News hasn't spread yet, but Kakashi has reason to believe that on that day, Konoha will. There was a storm. The reason is very simple. Who would really convince a kid to be Minister Anbu? At that time, he was a little concerned about how Bajian would deal with it. So, I'm in your charge. Shisui was a little embarrassed, and suddenly felt that the distance between him and Bajian had grown a lot. But this embarrassment disappeared the moment the other party's wine gourd was handed over. They are still friends. And he is also a member of the Night Owl team. Exciting news. You don't have to face Danzo in despair anymore, and you don't have to ask Mr. Danzo why he is here for the village. The child must hurt his partner. After taking off those heavy burdens, it is unparalleled ease. By the way, Xiao, when are you going to Anbu to see your men? Kakashi asked curiously. Don't worry about it, I haven't figured out how to change Anbu's mind. 8 Swords said calmly. Since Minato needs his help, there is nothing that Anbu can't do. But when it is beautiful. There is no such thing as messing around. Thinking. What do you mean? Kakashi frowned. Anbu, the department guarding the village hidden in the shadows, which had become tradition. How to change? Ask you a question. 8 Swords turned his head to look at Kakashi. Do you think you have been working in Anbu all these years? Do you have any kind of a sense of belonging, and a sense of pride? You are dreaming. Kakashi's mouth twitched and his eyelids jumped. Are you scolding me, owl? The 3rd. Code word _ Chapter 77 The Promise and Darkness Under the Moonlight. What is Anbu? Full name Assassination Tactical Special Forces. It's all about licking blood. Surviving in the shade of the sun is how Anbu exists. If you stay in such a department for a long time, how can the suppressed feeling still have a sense of belonging? As for the glory, let alone talk about it, it is complete nonsense. Anbu, like a machine, never stops. They are all parts of the machine, parts without emotion. I'm not scolding you, but I think this kind of thinking is wrong. Bajian shook his head with some emotion. If you think about it, everything Anbu does, whether it's killing people, going undercover, or investigating, these are all in Konoha's favor and contributing to Konoha. In short, it's Konoha's credit. However, the strange thing is that the hero, Ju, has no concept of meritorious service, and instead lives a depressed life in Anbu. Is that fair? Yes. Is this fair? They are all working for the village and should not be treated differently. It is clear that those who can enter Anbu are elites. So I'm not going to go there until I figure out how to change that mindset and make every ninja in the village proud to be part of Anbu. Holding the wine gourd and taking another sip, Bajian said indifferently. Kidding, proud to be an Anbu ninja. Kakashi couldn't understand more and more. Jian Sang's way of understanding is really different. Itachi nodded, he didn't know how to change, he just knew to follow Jianzhang. It was already night, and the Yishao team's practice had ended. Hachikan leisurely walked the streets of Konoha, enjoying the coolness of the night. From Itachi's mouth, he already knew the news that Sasuke was about to leave. This is a signal. Sasuke is going out, so Naruto will be soon. The reincarnation of two Asura and Indra who love and kill each other will have a bloody drama where you are my friend today and you are my friend tomorrow. But they will never know, because of some people's actions, their unborn destiny has been changed. Hello. At the entrance to the street outside Midarashi's house, a figure stood there and shouted after seeing the 8 swords. Looking up, a smile appeared on Bajian's face when he saw the person coming. Azuki Yugao, I haven't seen her for some days. It looks like she's been waiting for a long time. Go take a bath, I'll treat you today. No unnecessary nonsense. Yugao walked to Bajian's side without hesitation, took his hand and walked forward. Familiar warmth. Under the moonlight, the girl's face was a little pink. What made her courageous to wait here, she didn't know very well. Just because I learned that the teenager next to me had returned to the village, I couldn't wait to come after school. Take a bath together. This is the sweet talk that belongs to her and Bajian. Only the two of them understood what it meant. There's nothing dirty, it's as simple as treating you to a meal today. It can be said that the speaker has no intention, and the listener has intention. When the two left, a shocked little head appeared at the door of Midarashi's house. What did the girl just say? Ask ye Bajian to take a bath. Well, do you care if a girl invites your brother to take a bath? Into the room and opening the door, Yugito asked Enko who was wiping his body. She was holding the door at the door, and the function was to block it when Bajian came back. She had just finished feeling comfortable after not enjoying the milk bath for a long time. Oh, normal, wash and sleep. Enko let out a sigh of relief, and it's okay to take a shower. My brother knows that the function is still hidden. Just a kid. Who is this family? Yugito flipped through Byakugan and eventually lost the desire to reason with Enko. It is estimated that the 3 forbidden ninjas are useless to them. Sure enough, let's take a nap. With a sigh, Yugito walked into the bathroom. Maybe a maid is not worthy of taking a milk bath. As a prisoner, being able to wash her body is already a very good treatment. 8 Swords-kun, what is the battlefield like? Under the moon, the two who came out of the Konoha soup pool were walking down the street, Azuki Yugao's smooth and beautiful hair. From time to time, he slid on Bajian's shoulder. Although there is a sentence that is inappropriate at this age. But Bajian felt a strange femininity in Yugao. Damn. Still not immune to shawl hair. A place full of blood, a place where men boil and become strong 0 inches. And places that never want you to go. Stopped and looked at Azuki Yugao. Is this a confession? Azuki Yugao's small face was slightly yuhi, and he caressed his hair inadvertently. Girl, when you graduate, come to Anbu to help me, I need a secretary. Patting her head, Bajian said. Anbu, in Bajian's ideal, should not be a job of fighting on the field, and there is also a collection of information. Class of clerical. In this regard, Anko clearly has no hope. Azuki Yugao, although the swordsmanship is good, after all, Bajian can't bear her to experience those. However, how to choose depends on Azuki Yugao himself. Okay, I promise you. Without any hesitation, the girl nodded fiercely. In fact, that's exactly what she wanted. Ignoring the girl's bad behavior, he took the initiative to squat at the door of the other party's house. 4 is an answer. This agreement has already made her understand the other party's intentions. Sometimes two people walk side by side like this, no need to say anything, it is great satisfaction. The breeze blew, and the figures of the two under the moon stretched longer and longer. The night in Konoha recorded what the two left behind. Where there is light in the footsteps, there must be darkness. This is a belief that some people have been implementing all their lives. 3.5 At the same time, the majestic place full of seriousness in Konoha, above the Hokage rock. Shimura Danzo looked at the ground, his shadow stretched by the moonlight looked indifferent. Swish. And a figure appeared in the Uzumaki behind him. This is what you want. Slowly turning his head, Danzo took out a scroll from his bag and threw it at the other party. Where's the second tale? Tomo that only leaked out slowly turned. In the hands of Yi Bajian, if you want to take it, if you do it yourself, consider it as a reward. Danzo sneered and turned away. Obito didn't speak, opened the scroll and swept over. Passing over the top, all the information about Yi Bajian looked directly at the last line. Kyubi, 9 Tails, Jinchuriki, Column 4's due date, October 4th. More. Ow. Code wording. Chapter 78 I'm sorry, I was the one who knocked out your master. Anko is sleeping, so you better not bark. Midarashi's house. From Yu Izumi, was about to rest. Yugito just pushed open the bathroom door. Girls always have some ink on their bodies when they wash their bodies. Kittens are no exception. So, when the eyes met, the girl instinctively wanted to scream while pulling her neck. But in an instant, the boy covered his mouth. Humiliation, anger, helplessness. In the end it turned into 2 lines of tears that remained. Shaking his head, Bajian let go of the other party, and threw the robe on her body and turned to leave. As for, it's not that I haven't seen the same Anko. Besides, in the precise sense, Ben Shao is still a child. How can I see it? Too lazy to explain anything, this is just a misunderstanding. The tablet that hasn't fully developed doesn't interest him either. There are 3 bedrooms in the Midarashi house, one for Heiken and one for Anko, and the rest is just reserved for the kitten. The cat caught by the cable can cook, and will not have to suffer from Anko's dark cooking in the future. Lying in bed staring at the ceiling. Some people always think about something before going to bed, or make a summary of the busy day. Bajian is these 4 kinds of people. However, he won't become more and more energetic, and he can't even fall asleep. He just likes to do a little planning for the future, not aimlessly. There is a lot to think about, and to do. Progress towards becoming a Grim Reaper advance quest. Daily practice and adjustments that should be made to Anbu. Of course, these are not the things that Bajian needs to consider most urgently. The Kyubi 9 Tails upheaval is near. Yes. The second Jinchuriki column sun is about to give birth, and Naruto is about to come to this world. Bajian doesn't know where the source of Kushina's due date leak is, and there's no need to investigate. Thinking about it carefully, there is no one but Danzo who can do such a thing. But no matter how well this kind of thing is hidden, things that should be exposed will still happen. As long as Obito has the heart, he will know when that day will come sooner or later. The hardest thing about Kamui is teleportation. And what the 8 swords can change is only the result. He now has 2 options before him. Tell Minato directly that your apprentice Obito is still alive, and even kill you and your wife. Do not make jokes. Unless Minato is crazy. Even with that level of trust between the two, Minato believed it. How could he explain what he knew? Bajian is not afraid of trouble, and he is too lazy to explain so many wasteful words. So he chooses the second one. Well, take one step at a time. He will not let Minato be taken away by death. Because, he is the Hokage world worthy of the name, and the only god of death. This title belongs to him only. He is the god of death in charge of the soul. What are you going to do? Next morning, at Kurenai Yuhi's home. Hachiken to come here, and the first time to see Shinku Yuhi, who is known as Konoha Yuhi. The man in the setting sun, acting Minister Anbu, is the old Jonin of Konoha village. In the original book, in order to protect his younger generation, he died in the Kyubi Nine Tails Rebellion, and was slapped neatly. The man he took away also guarded the will of fire in his heart. After all, before Bajian went to Anbu, he planned to find the old senior and ask about Anbu's current situation. Condition. Reform. Putting down the information in his hand, Bajian calmly took a sip of the Yuhi tea handed over by Kurenai Yuhi. Reform. Shinku Yuhi frowned slightly. These two words are easy to say, but not so easy to do. Not that he underestimates this disciple of Lord Hokage, but that all of Anbu's deployment and processes have been completed. After being deeply ingrained, rash reform may not be a good thing. He understands that he is not the kind of talent who can lead Anbu back to the top. Keep Anbu now. The situation has consumed a lot of his energy. With the efforts of Little Sun, Konoha has begun to reform. And he has 8 swords and wants to reform Anbu. There is nothing wrong with this. But as Shinku Yuhi said, reform is not so easy. The rest can be put aside for a while. The first step is to get your subordinates to admit your existence. A lot of people would be unhappy to be Minister Anbu at his age. So let them understand that Lord Hokage wasn't blind and chose him, that's the point. In addition, there are institutional issues. As for how Anbu works, Shinku Yuhi just showed it to Hachiken. After understanding everything, Bajian understands why, as Anbu's ninja, he is tired and becomes a dog. I hate this profession that was originally an honor. On this point, Bajian already has his own ideas. However, when it comes to implementation, Minato is still needed to help. What do you guys mean by Konoha? In the Hokage building, Minato had a few people with displeased faces. Negotiating team in Kumogakure village. They have come. But because of the reminder from 8 swords, Minato has been busy with official business and ignored them. Only today, these people blocked the entrance of the Hokage building early in the morning, and out of courtesy, a few people were invited to the office. But as soon as he opened his mouth, Minato frowned. Your Excellency, this is Konoha. Hokage cloak behind, Minato reminded. So what? We, Kumogakure village, came to negotiate with sincerity, and that's how you treat Hokage. Guests. The young black girl Karui said angrily. Although I don't know what the concept of a guest is in your eyes, but please remember that until a few days ago we were enemies. Minato said very seriously. What do you mean? Does Hokage mean he doesn't want the war to stop? This time, Mabuyi, who was the negotiator this time, was also stunned and asked Minato 823. May I take your words as a threat? Soon as the other party's voice fell, the door of Hokage's office was pushed open, and a not-so-tall figure appeared in front of the Kumogakure negotiating team. If you want to fight, I'll take over for Konoha. With the knife, the young man's face was cold, and he didn't take Kumogakure village seriously at all. Just in time, Bajian. Nodding at Hachiken, Minato also stood up. Hokage, who is he? Is he qualified to be responsible for saying such things? Mabuyi said seriously. Little devil, this is not the place you should be. said coldly, if it wasn't for Hokage still here, she would have already punched her. As Killer Bee's apprentice, she came to Konoha full of anger. Because her teacher is still lying on the bed. Sorry, I forgot to introduce. Under Minister Konoha Anbu, Yi Bajian. I'm the one who knocked out your master, and also, pay attention to you when you say someone else is a kid. Age, trash. Then, can I ask again now? He waved Zanpakuto and pointed to the real negotiator, Raikage's black secretary, Mabuyi, with 8 swords all over his body. Murderous aura spreads from top to bottom. What you said just now, can I take it as a threat? The 5th update. Code wording, plus update will be sent later. Ask for a monthly ticket at the beginning of the month. Chapter 79. Never seen such a tough Konoha. 4th Hokage, what he said, is what Konoha meant. Taking a deep breath, Azabuye looked at Namikaze Minato very seriously. Want to use the eyes to put pressure on each other. This time, when she came to Konoha, she was completely surprised. Until now, that surprise turned into panic. Konoha has changed. There are some big changes. Memory, I have never seen such a tough Konoha. He ignored the negotiating team in Kumogakure village and even took the initiative to find Hokage, but he insisted on this attitude. Never seen. This is the first time. Konoha, who has been shrinking back and seemed so weak in the negotiation. She does not know. Now, Azabuye just wanted to confirm one thing. What the boy next to him said was Konoha's attitude. If not, the negotiation can continue, and Kumogakure village can still find the initiative, and then get back the Jinchuriki column force and subdue interests. Because Konoha always promises great benefits for the truce, and those benefits are also the key to restoring Kumogakure village. Then trouble. She never even prepared such a negotiating package. But she was destined to be disappointed, yellow flash, and never flinched at the eyes of others. Not to mention that Bajian has given him a good start. If it's a threat, you are not welcome in Konoha. Minato said solemnly, I said just now, a few days ago, we were fighting each other on the battlefield, and what you just said came with the sincerity of Kumogakure village, but I didn't see the sincerity. If you are so embarrassed for wanting to end the war with this attitude, Konoha will never agree. Oh, toughened up. Like a Hokage. Minato-sensei, your kind of change is really exciting. Yes. When is the first ninja village's turn to bow down to others? When will Hokage, as the first ninja village, take the initiative to send tailed beasts at the negotiating table? Well, not Hokage. That's it in the original. After the end of the Third Ninja World War, the local war between the country of Need and the country of Fire did not stop. The step-by-step concessions led directly to the Kumogakure village, who even dared to kidnap the princess of the Hyuga clan after Minato died in the Kyubi Nine Tails rebellion, and then beat Hyuga Hazashi to death. Give them a face. Such signs must not appear from now on. Be tough, be tough. Because at this moment, they have strong capital. Killer Bee Jinchuriki column force was seriously injured, Two-tailed Jinchuriki column force was captured. The high-end combat power of Kumogakure village, only one 4th-generation shadow remains. Even if the EPUB group shot together, they couldn't help Minato, let alone only one shadow left. Okay, got it. It seems that Konoha's sincerity goes only so far. I will tell Raikage the truth about everything that happened here today. I don't know how to make a decision. I just hope that Hokage will not regret it. Azabuye snorted and turned away. But Bajian, who was standing at the door, had no habit of giving way. Trash, I'm right here, do you want to avenge your master? Zanpakuto put it on his shoulders again, and Bajian looked at Karui. To be honest, he didn't have any good feelings for this black girl. In addition to the fact that the other party is from Kumogakure village, but also because she and Omoi next to her in the original book, when Samui came to Konoha to submit information to Danzo, they met Naruto and fought directly. Because Sasuke took Yahweh. Although only an octopus tentacle was caught, these few people did not know. It's okay to avenge the master. But are you looking for the wrong person? Waste, I'm right here, do you want to avenge your master? This kind of words sounded extremely harsh. 3 Killer Bee disciples angrily touched their waists and looked like they were planning to shoot. Stop. But when things came to an end, Mabuyi's voice entered the ears of several people. As a secretary who needs shadows, she is much calmer than a few teenagers who haven't grown up. Why did the other party take the initiative to provoke? Still an upright provocation. Just a little thought to understand what the abacus this young man was playing. He is going to kill the Kumogakure village negotiating team here. As long as they make a move, there is only one word of death in the end. Front of him was a lunatic who could brutally cut off the head of Kumogakure village. He had only been in the land of thunder for a few days, but the tragic state of those ninjas when they died stayed in everyone's heart. In addition to cruelty, the strength of this lunatic is beyond imagination. Fighting the 2 men alone, Jinchuriki column, and even catching one alive, if it wasn't for Killer Bee's fast running, he would have been poisoned too. Even now, he wants to kill the negotiating team. Madman. Downright lunatic. But a premeditated lunatic. If Samui and the others are out, his counterattack won't make Konoha guilty of killing the messenger. Murder, but also to kill in an upright manner. Does Konoha really want to go to war with Kumogakure village? The people at Konoha are going crazy. Hokage is crazy too. A deep look at Yi Bajian, Asabuyi bypassed the boy and opened the door of Hokage's office. They can no longer stay here. Otherwise it is self-inflicted humiliation. Tilda, you really want to kill them? The negotiating group in Kumogakure village had already left. Minato smiled bitterly and pulled Bajian to the sofa next to him. This anger is too heavy. Although it is true that Konoha's toughness needs to be shown this time, but if you really want to kill those people, then the contradiction will be completely intensified, and you have to fight if you don't fight. Sooner or later they are enemies, kill them and Konoha will sacrifice a lot less. 8 Swords said lightly. Besides, this was a premeditated shot, and killing Kumogakure village was also disgusting. Who made them unable to control their own people, to provoke them in Konoha? If it wasn't for the fear that Minato would not be able to come down the stage, and if they wanted them to convey Konoha's attitude back to Kumogakure village, the 8 Swords would have actually started. Of course, he knew that Karui's people would never attack him. Mabuyi is indeed a talent. The calmness at the critical moment made Bajiangao, Nuo's good, look at it a bit. However, Mr. Minato, when you just said those few words, you really sounded like a Hokage. He patted Minato's shoulder with a smile, and Bajian seemed rather relieved. Is this what you, as a disciple, should say to your teacher? Minato was speechless. Why did he feel more and more that his Hokage was taught by his disciples? This is not good. I haven't taught my disciples how to grow. But this state of mind only lasted for a few seconds, and he couldn't hold back, and asked the question in his heart. Bajian, Anbu, what are you going to do with Dian? The law of truth is invincible. No one can escape. Building Konoha's true elite special forces, sending Anbu on missions that only ordinary ninjas can't perform. Don't use Anbu's ninjas as tools, but Konoha's hero. 6th. Thank you readers for your support. Finally ask for a monthly pass. Thank you very much. 6. Chapter 80. This is my Anbu. Lord Mabuyi, are we going back like this? Outside the Hokage building, the atmosphere in the negotiating team in Kumogakure village is not very good. 3 of Killer Bee's apprentices, Yuhi's ears are red, and they can't wait to find someone to have a good fight. Otherwise, do you know how dangerous it was just now? The kid who is blocking the door, but even your master can be severely injured. Asabuyi said with a frown. The changes in Konoha are too great, not just the kind of changes that can be said to the naked eye, but the overall momentum. The first ninja village, which seems to be sleeping, is slowly waking up. This is by no means good news for the village of Kumogakure. There is no doubt that this negotiation did not achieve any desired results. The strong Konoha makes her not have any words to ask the two-tailed Jinchuriki column strength. Go back to the village. Shaking his head, Mabuyi sighed. No one wants to continue to humiliate themselves in such a situation. Things have become troublesome, but she still has to figure out how to deal with it. Now she can't make any effective decisions. She must report the matter to Reikage, and letting Reikage make up her mind is the right choice. Anbu, assassinates special forces. This is a department that should have the special feature of being honored and dying. It is not to make ninjas become cold-blooded when they perform their tasks, but to make them understand. They just used another way to protect what 83 wanted to protect. Hokage office. Bajian talked eloquently to Little Sun, who had a strong thirst for knowledge. Glory is added, why not die? When war breaks out, Anbu is a sharp blade that goes deep behind enemy lines and executes beheading operations. Konoha is in deep crisis and they are the most powerful support to save Konoha. In times of peace, they are shadows under the sun, giving silently without expecting anything in return. Such troops are the heroes of Konoha. Just a few words, but it interprets the Anbu ninja. Minato took a deep breath and nodded. Although, he has never stayed in Anbu, and has always appeared in the village as the elite shinobi of the village. Around the 3 generations, they are performing tasks. But now that he's Hokage, he still knows a lot about Anbu. Everything that Bajian said just now has explained the value and significance of Anbu's existence, without any fault. Then the question is, why do ninjas have such a hard time for troops with such glorious characteristics? Unspeakable. Bajian took a big mouthful of wine gourd, and wrote 3 words crookedly on the paper in front of him. Identify. Minato seemed to catch something gleaming. Identify. In the world of Hokage, a word that even runs through the entire main thread. A very simple example, Naruto insists on forbearance, and the ultimate goal is to gain the approval of others, only. That's all. See the most. Acknowledging your existence is an extremely important affirmation in the ninja world. Sometimes the sentence "I approve of you" is the most praiseworthy praise. 3 words, say it directly. If people recognize the existence of Anbu ninja, recognize what they have done for Konoha. Believes that those who complain about Anbu's poor living standards and poor working conditions all day will be instantly motivated. Even when the villagers happened to see Anbu ninja passing by, they didn't whisper that Anbu was too mysterious, but stopped to cast admiration and envious eyes, and even wanted to be part of Anbu. That's the real assassination special forces. So, to get that sense of identity, I need to do something with a lot of fanfare. He took out a folder, and Bajian pointed his finger on it. Here, I need Mr. Minato to nod. Even, some unclassified mission results, what Anbu paid for the village, will be stamped on Konoha's bulletin board. In addition, build a merit wall, list penultimate deeds, etc., and make it public. After speaking in one breath, Bajian shrugged his shoulders. Since he has decided to be the minister of Anbu, he must do the job well. Not for the so-called glory, but he also really wanted to see what this Konoha would be like. Proud to enter Anbu. 8 swords. Looking at the boy in front of him, Minato's face was full of relief and a warm smile, and he stretched out his hand when the other party was talking. Actually, you don't need to come over and ask me about it. Do it boldly, Anbu, it's your Anbu. Belong to your Anbu. Bajian was stunned, as if shocked by what Minato said. I believe in you, there is no need to talk too much between master and apprentice. Although my teacher hasn't taught you anything so far, from the looks of you, I'm afraid I'm not interested in Rasengan either. All I can give you is 1,000 letters. Patting Haken on the shoulder, Minato showed a sunny smile again. He was still halfway through. That's your Anbu, meaningful words, but can already guess what he meant. The future, this is your Konoha too. There is no doubt that Minato is treating Yabajian with an attitude of cultivating successors. Unfortunately, he doesn't understand at all. Bajian's mind has never been in the Hokage position. Mere Hokage, sitting in that position, will restrain a person's pattern and energy. He has never been limited by the word Hokage. Even so, Bajian couldn't help but admire Minato's aura. What is Hokage? This is Hokage. Give you the right to do it boldly. Instead of arranging gossip and killing you when you are in high power. Unreserved letter. This is Minato's greatest support for 8 swords. Hachiken gave Minato a deep look, then nodded, understood. As Minato said, between master and apprentice, there is no need to say too much. It's enough to understand what's in each other's minds. Still, my Anbu. Bajian grinned, as if things were getting more and more interesting. After coming out of the Hokage office, Bajian was in a particularly comfortable mood, all the way to Konoha's number 10 training. The rest of the Night Owl squad have been waiting for a long time. Uchiha Shisui, Uchiha Itachi, Hatake Kakashi. The future, they are bound to become Anbu's mainstay Jinchuriki column. Of course, in today's training ground, in addition to the original few, there was also a handsome young man. His name is A. The current name is Yamato, and in Anbu it is code-named Celestial Burial. Of Orochimaru's first batch of 60 Mokuden wood-style experiments. Reassuringly walked to the other side, Bajian patted his shoulder. I have Admiral Yamato, and I can kill the first generation. First more.